What's going on, everybody? Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. My name is Brandon Toy. I am the host of Brandon's Show. Hope everybody's doing pretty good out there. Paige, the cat, did not walk on my keyboard tonight, although it was sitting on my keyboard when I went to start the show, but it didn't mess anything up. It was a small miracle, so I'm happy for that. I see the sound levels looking good. Somebody give me a thumbs up if they can hear me. I'd appreciate that, so I'm not talking to myself. Let's see who we got in chat. Smurfer Girl, whatevs. What's going on? Ian Adams. Page 42. Super Flurf. The Snark. Anthony Burrows. Matrix Media. Data on the Plane. Formerly known as Flat Earth Data, I believe. I don't think that's a secret since the channel has all of the stuff. Data on the Plane. That's pretty cool. Good cat, Paige says. Yeah, she's alright. I think she likes the warmth of the keyboard. I don't know what's going on. And yes, Ian, Biden is our new president. I guess. What's up, Musicians for Truth? We'll see how that works out. Guess he's already signed a bunch of executive orders. It was pretty interesting who Trump pardoned, if anybody saw that. Including Kwame Kilpatrick, basically the gangster who used to run New York, who used to run Detroit and got put away for 28 years on a bunch of racketeering and all these other charges. And he commuted his sentence. A couple of rappers, what the hell the guy was doing, but not Julian Assange. Not Julian Assange. What the fuck, man? I don't get it, but whatever. It is what it is. I try not to pay it too much attention anymore because it just gets frustrating and it's not worth the energy. Another puppet. Exactly, Ian. Exactly. Two sides of the same coin. Pretty lame. Seems like we could do better, but as long as they don't do too much damage, which they usually do now that I think about it with all the wars and shit. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so on that depressing note, let me put the link for Streamlabs Tip Jar in the chat. And if you want to support the show, you can do it through Streamlabs, Super Chat, whatever. The best way you can support the show is to come into the Discord, hang out with us, show us some new evidence, to go take an observation, give us some ideas for an experiment. We are desperately trying to figure out how to make a straight line in space to compare against the surface of water. As misguided as some believe that to be, I do think that actually measuring curvature or the lack of curvature, which is what I firmly believe will happen, is a worthwhile endeavor. Much more difficult than you would think just to make a frickin' straight line. Of course, it's got to be like 3 miles long, so that is that's a long way when you think about drawing a straight line. Shit, I mean, it's hard to draw a straight line for 1 foot. Anyway, what do we got going on tonight? Hopefully, Brian's Logic is going to join us. He may not. I haven't heard from him, so there was no promises made. But I wanted to talk to him because he has been going back and forth with Conspiracy Cats and Rachie, who's in the chat quite often. And I just wanted to discuss what he thought about Conspiracy Cats and Cavendish. We can discuss Cavendish today, too. I did quite a bit of research into Cavendish and its associated variants that came later. And it's pretty much bullshit. Just spoiler alert. It is a pile of crap that essentially means nothing. So that's what I think about that. But anyway, what else are we going to talk about tonight? Oh, 21-mile laser test from Taboo Conspiracy and some other flat earthers on the Salt Lake, I believe. Awesome test. So we'll take a look at that and talk about that. I'm trying to get Taboo Conspiracy in. I keep meaning to email him. I am going to email him tonight and see if I can get him to come in and talk about this 21-mile laser test. Clear as day. I don't care how many degrees anybody's going to say that, oh, this is how many degrees it has to bend, 0.4 degrees. I don't care. You see the damn laser from 21 miles away. It should be behind a 220-foot wall of salt water. Yeah, it's flat. If that's not evidence for the Earth being flat, I don't know what the hell is. So that's pretty cool. We'll take a look at that. And then I found this really interesting clip. I'm going to take a chance and play parts of it. It's from a Adam Curtis documentary. And anybody who's listened to me for any amount of time knows that I really am into Adam Curtis, even though he's a kind of a BBC stooge, suspected propagandist. But his documentaries are very interesting and have impacted the way I think in a lot of ways. He's talking about Star Wars in the early 90s and how they sold Star Wars. And there was a couple of interesting things in there that I wanted to point out that relate to deception and storytelling. So we'll take a look at that. But now let's go into the Discord and say hello to the panel and see what they're talking about.
Just pareidolia. It has well, if you drove around it, you'd drive 4,500 miles. But that same figure, seen only from, well, what we call space or above, is worn on people's chests on every continent. And the only way to get a view of that, if that's where it's from, is from way, way up.
Well, I know how they drew the spiders in that, Jimbo. Is it Nazca lines or something?
Yeah, the Nazca lines, the plans
right,
for the
that's
sun.
dead easy. Right, I could explain how they drew that, right? But that one
Yeah,
you're
that's
talking
easy.
about. Yeah, but
it's what they represent. The Nazca lines are like a schematic for the sun. It's metal plates and deflection where it's laid out. These plates are laid out around the plane. It is basically a schematic for the operation of the sun.
Which one?
What was that about? Never mind that. What was that about Russia? You said it looked. Tell me about that Africa thing again. A wee bit more detail.
Hold on. Which Nazca line is a schematic for how the sun works?
The whole thing.
The whole
all those
thing?
big rectangles. It covers miles and miles. The Nazca
yeah.
line.
How does the spider fit in now?
Well, it's down around Bermuda. The whale is up in what they call Beluga Island in the north. The other long rectangles fit over a flat map of the Earth, and there's one over Greenland. There's one over, well, north of Alaska. There's one off the east coast of the USA or Canada that runs all the way down to Bermuda, etc., etc. The one off coast of eastern Canada is responsible for the exceptionally high tide of the Bay of Fundy.
Yeah, but how does it? All right, never mind.
They're metal plates. They're iron.
Ask
deflection
Jeremy,
plates.
for fuck's sake. Ask the question. How does it work?
I don't know. Just whatever. Go ahead.
What are you going to say?
I'm just saying. I don't. How does this fit into the schematic of how the sun works?
A cathode ray tube draws a picture by moving a little beam of light, if you will, from the top left corner to the bottom right corner.
All right.
Scanning system. The light's generated and pushed around. It's pushed around by magnetics. The same way, a cathode ray tube pushes around that little beam of light with deflection plates and magnetism. It's the same way our sun is pushed around by the magnetism in these electric plates under our feet, positioned under the plane. I believe there was a time when the configuration was different and the sun was higher or whatever. Everything was scaled down and we got a dome.
You think so? Where are you,
I
where are you
really
getting
think
all
so.
this, Jimbo?
Well, the Nazca lines are there. And, you know, I looked at them a couple of years back with some other people. Some things about, you know, what we're looking at makes some sense. You know, and I'm not saying it is so, but I say from what I see, strong possibility that as a technician, and I've seen lots of schematics and how things work, they represent truly the layout of the mechanical operation of the sun.
So you tell me they drew all these weird things like monkey, dog, spider
Yep,
to
I
lay
don't know
out
why.
how the sun works.
Yep, I don't know why.
Okay.
Well, they
There'll
put
be
the
metaphors.
they put the
I think it'd
beluga
be-
whale in the north over what is called Beluga Island. I don't know why that would match up per se, but it does.
I think
Maybe it's
I
just
think
their
a
way
lot
of
of
doing
these
things.
things. I think a lot of these things were like metaphors, metaphors as well. You know, like a spider. You know how in old Chinese mythology a snake represents wisdom,
Well,
kind of thing.
with
So
all
if you
the
drew a
myth and
snake,
symbolism taken out, looking at it purely from a technical standpoint, all else aside, the basics are that layout of a cathode ray tube and a deflection system to push around a light. And that's all
yeah,
there is to it.
I know the one you're talking about. That's the one that sort of splays out in it. It's got like a, it looks like a semi sort of what you said, like an eye, but does it not look? There's sort of rays coming out for it, like triangular kind of things that cone out the way. Is that the one you mean that's to do with the sun, or are you meaning them all?
No, I'm not sure. Most of what we see as the sun is glare, so I'm not sure what you're asking.
I'm sharing my screen. I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about this one that looks like a star called a Strela star. Is that what you're talking about, Allie?
Let me see. Hang on, I'm not even. I'm talking to a blank screen at the moment. 1 second.
Oh, okay.
I'm here. I'm back again. Let me see. How do I... that?
Yeah, and the land creatures could be like, you know, I don't know, transmission stations and the birds and other flying creatures, you know, radio transmissions. Because there are points all over the plane that have permanent frequencies coming out.
I can't see the picture.
Control something.
I'm trying to find a bigger one, Allie.
No, it's not that. It's for some reason, right? I don't get that live thing on my tablet anymore for some reason.
Oh, that
No,
sucks.
I don't. Yeah, I know, because I used to, and I could click on it, but I don't know. I don't know what's happened.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but I think it's probably that one, Brandon. It's probably that one, but yeah.
Yeah, it's some weird geometric design with a square and a diamond, and then like 2 circles around the outside of it.
That's the one.
Yeah, I don't know if it has a... Here, I'll post a picture of it in general.
That's more or less the limitations of the 4 corners of our plane. It's represented here.
Yeah, you've just got to find out what the shapes actually meant to the people that were drawing them.
Yeah.
You know, like that one, the circle, the plain circle, and I think it was the Chaldeans and further back actually, was the universe. The circle with the dot in the middle was the sun. So they reckoned that I think they were reckoning that you know that was like the centre of the universe, kind of thing. And then you've got the swastika that came from actually the
Represents, I think, the swastika, you know, vortices and magnetic fields, interning.
well,
et cetera.
exactly. Yep. It represented the four forces. Well, and in the middle there was usually a circle, because they say there was 5 elements. There was 5 main forces or elements, kind of thing. The 5th element. That why that film. But the swastika, they say it represents the wheel of life. There's another book I was reading that actually represents, or they say it represents the 4 forces. and each, each arm is a force, and in the middle's the circle, and that's like the main element that drives, that's whatever you call it, consciousness or the all, that drives those four forces, because they even understood, nothing happens. It takes two things for one thing to happen. One thing doesn't happen itself. There takes a catalyst and another ingredient that makes a third ingredient, kind of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird though.
Like when they say water, when they say that water's like, I kind of I'm on the fence with the if there's hydrogen and oxygen in water.
If this like symbols here and that's on the screen is supposed to represent our realm per se, it seems very symmetrical. It seems like shapes like that don't happen in nature, in groupings and corners and stuff of whatever's there.
Yeah, but you can't really draw chaos though, right? And that's where mathematics, when you see these perfect circles, when you look at the weather maps, you see these beautiful curved lines and all that kind of stuff. That's a load of shite. That's an idealized. That's as close as the mathematics. That's not what the wind's doing. The wind is going all over the place. Right? They can't describe nature in mathematics because it's like entropy. It's chaos, basically. But it's chaos. It's ordered chaos, right? If you know what I mean. It's like, but you can't mathematically describe a wind or a wave, or you can do that with mechanical things, like things that we, or a leaf falling from a tree. You couldn't put mathematics to that. You couldn't describe that it moving side to side, how far it moves and all that kind of thing. Mathematics doesn't do that because nature's too complicated for it to do that.
This picture in front of us doesn't represent reality either. So I don't know what I'm looking at or why I'm looking at it exactly. What is it supposed to represent for me right now?
I don't know. Maybe I should go to the YouTube channel, I think. So
yeah, I mean, we're not going to be able to figure it out, but I do find it interesting that this thing has like 3 major circles in it, which I don't know, maybe it is meant to mean the path of the sun. The two what are they called? The equator and the two. What's the inner circle and the outer circle called?
Capricorn and
tropics.
The other one.
Yeah, exactly. The tropics. Yeah. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what these people were thinking? I mean, they made giant monkeys in the out in the middle of nowhere.
We've got the four.
I mean, why would you build a schematic of how the sun works on the ground and then build a fucking monkey next to it? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But
well, anyway, I did about a 10-minute section of my understanding of it. I'm not gonna, go into all the blah blah blah. If someone wants to watch it, it's over at FPV Angels, and I don't give a damn what you do or don't do.
Has anybody ever
Jimbo,
thought that?
but wait a minute, Jimbo, I mean Jeremy. Right, the thing is, what you have to do is you have to find out what the spider or whatever represented to these people. Go and do what Jimbo says. Go fucking look into it, right? Have a dig about and find out what these animals. And when they describe what the animals meant to these people, you might go, "Oh fuck," or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not.
You might get an "oh fuck" moment from the work that you did over there in my 10 minutes.
I mean, this doesn't seem likely to me that.
Hear and whine and just,
but it doesn't seem like it to you. It didn't seem, Jeremy. It didn't seem like it to you that the Earth was flat, right? Right? You understand? Yeah. You can't just negate something because it doesn't seem right to you. Oh, that doesn't. You've got to go look into it before you even naysay it, or otherwise you're just going to be acting like some people.
I'm not naysaying. I'm just saying personally, I don't know. I don't believe it, but whatever.
Then worry about it at your level for yourself and let other people deal with the information the way they're going to deal or not with it.
I feel you. I'm just putting my 2 cents in, no doubt.
No, that's fine. But the point is, can you not see the point I'm making though? It's like what I teach my kids. Don't judge anybody because that person there might have a very interesting story or might have an amazing bit of knowledge. The same as that. You shouldn't judge anything until you look into it and go, and then you can come back and say, hey, by the way, still means nothing to me. You might even teach me something about it, or you might tell me and I'll go, all right, good on you, Jeremy. At least you looked into it and you came back or whatever. You know, rather than
no doubt.
not having a go at you. I'm not far from it. I'm not having a go at you or anything. I'm just saying the way I look at things before I, like, you know, then you're acting like people that you don't want to be like, right? There you are.
Maybe it's
Wow.
just a layout for the location of their like Burning Man festival. They had different tents out here, and like go to the monkey area. They have the best LSD. Or you
You walk your wife 7 miles before you say I do. 'Cause some
How
people,
about
they're like,
constellation, guys? Anybody ever think of that? Was that discussed?
What's that?
How
No.
about their idea of constellations?
Maybe they had monkey and spider constellations.
There you go.
Yeah,
There
maybe.
you are. Well done,
Why
Nathan.
not?
Oh, they had a lot of constellations, these folks. Like I say,
Nicely done, mate.
somebody could take 10 minutes to go look at fucking a little piece of video, or you know.
Well,
I
yeah.
can't be
Give me the link.
bothered.
Give me the link, Jimbo, and I'll share it with the audience. They can go and check it out.
I'll try to find my segment for you. Give me a few minutes.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, what's going on, guys? We've got on the show right now, Allie B, of course. What's up, Allie?
How you doing?
Good, man.
Hey, listen, I wish I'd been in last night. I listened to the show last night. It was great fun. But at the end, you had me pulling my hair out. You kept going on about SAG. It was about the SAG of this line. This experiment. Listen. Don't get caught into that. Right. I already told you guys that fishing line floats, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if fishing line floats, right? If it's curved, if the earth is curved, right, that fishing line will go under the water. Right, it doesn't need support, and it will go tight because it stretches. Right, it will stretch. I can guarantee you. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be above the water to prove it's a flat Earth.
Are you going to be able to overcome the buoyancy and the tension
listen,
of the line?
Dude, yes, absolutely. I can guarantee it, man. I can guarantee it. But as I say, it was quite funny because I was like, fuck, I wish it was
I personally want to do it underwater, and Brandon wants to do it above water, and you want to do it on the surface of the water.
No, that's not. No, you're missing the point. No, I never said that. This is my experiment, right? Is get it anchored about, what should we say, 3-4 foot on the beach, right next to the water, right? Anchor it there or whatever, right? And then I've got the reel on a fishing rod. I told you guys this, right? And on the fishing reel, there's a thing called drag, right? And that means that the line will feed out before it snaps. Whatever you set it to, if you've got 5 pound breaking strain on your fishing line, right? You would set your drag to say 4 pound.
Yeah.
Right? So that if you got a fish heavier than 4 pound, knowing that your line's going to break at 5, it'll feed out until it gets tired, it stops fishing, then you'll reel it in.
That's how they're able to pull up those 20-pound fish with 10
There you go, my friend. Right. So now you're with me, right? So now I'm on a boat. I've attached the end of my fishing line. I've got it on a reel on my fishing rod, right? And I've got the drag set. And I'm just going to anchor it in my boat, and I'm going to sail off on down the line. I'm going to head. I'm going to keep heading that way, and it'll keep a certain tension. But the point is, it doesn't have to. The sag doesn't matter, because when I get to the other side of the water, when I pull that tight, it'll stretch before it breaks. So it will go tight. And the point is, it doesn't matter. It can sit in the line. I could do the same thing and just lay it on the water, and then I could pull it tight. Now, there's no need, if it goes underwater, then it'll be curved, right?
The underwater part is where I'm having an issue with, because how do you know
it goes tight? Think about it, Jeremy, right? Say there's a curve. Imagine there's this curve, right? You're stood at one side of the curve.
I understand the principle here, but my question is, how do you know you can pull it tight enough to overcome the surface tension and the buoyancy on the line?
Because I've been fishing for 100 million years.
Yeah, but how many times have you pulled a fishing line?
I've been fishing, dude. I've been fishing. I know exactly how fishing line reacts in water. I know how it gets snagged. I know about breaking strain. I know how much anything at all. I know what I'm talking about when I say it's going to stretch tight.
Yeah. The B in your name stands for Bassmaster. Okay, we get it. But the point is, you've never pulled a line like this tight over the water. You don't know if it's going to be enough.
Well, I have actually. I have, because I've been snagged 100 times if I've been snagged once. And I've lost spinners worth £100. So
I'm all for it. You're using 100-pound spinners?
Yeah, of course, man.
Jesus. All right. It's fucking expensive, but...
Well, it depends what you regard as expensive.
But that is the question I had. Do you understand what he's asking, Allie? He's asking if, okay, let's say we pull it tight. Does the line over that, whatever, let's just say 3 miles or however long we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Can you put enough force on the line to force the center of it to break the surface tension of the water and go underwater, provided the earth was...
And overcome the buoyancy of the line.
Because that's what they're going to come back with. They're going to say, no, there's no way pulling on that line would, you could put enough force on it to make it go underwater if it's sitting on that much, on the surface of that much water or some crap like that.
Yeah, but they've said that. See what you were talking about last night with the SAG? I had that with George. This experiment's been talked about. I've talked to George, the fucking Rumpus. I've talked to all these ballers about this experiment, and they kept going on about SAG. And I knew when they're talking about SAG, the whole point, it doesn't matter if it fucking sags. If I'm away 3 miles, what's that?
The thing is, the SAG...
2 times the distance. Wait a minute. 3 threes, 3 threes, that's 9, that's 18. It should be 18 foot after 6 miles. 3 miles, it should be 18 foot.
No.
Under. It should be... Yeah.
I don't think so.
Listen, if you go to the SAG calculator... There isn't a line we found.
Right, 2 times. Wait a minute.
Yo.
Well, Blake, I'll give you the equation, Brandon. This is the equation, right?
Okay.
The surveyors. This is the equation surveyors use to add the curvature, right? It's called the curvature corrector, right? But this is the equation, and it's 2 times the distance squared divided by 3. It's over 3, so it's... Well, hey, excuse me. You don't sound like Brandon. Let me finish. So it's 9 times 2 is 18, so it'll be 6 foot under. My apologies.
6 foot,
6 foot under. Yeah. But that's the equation, Brandon, for the 8 inches per mile. The easiest one is 2 times the distance squared divided by 3.
No, I'm next.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
The thing is, Allie, we've gone to all the SAG calculators for every kind of rope we could find, carbon fiber rope, fishing line, all that shit. They all say that the SAG...
For what it's worth, I posted in the background.
So you're using the mathematics. That's good. So you're using the very mathematics that I've just told you. Doesn't describe jack shit. You're falling back on the very things that these guys are using against us.
Let me tell you what they're going to say, Allie.
I'm down to try it.
Yeah, I'm down to try it too.
I'll tell you the solution.
You understand?
I think the SAG's going to... I think we're better off doing it underwater.
Talk about SAG. Yep, go on.
I posted the statement with the Nazca lines in the general chat there.
Okay, I put it in the YouTube chat. Thanks, Jimbo.
Let me say this real quick about the SAG. The SAG doesn't matter because here's what they're going to say if we do it like that, Allie. They're going to say that the stretching it wasn't strong enough to break the surface tension of the water.
Exactly.
What we do though, there's a fix for that. What we do is just barely sink the middle. Just put a tiny split shot in the middle over a couple miles and sink it down 3 foot or about 2 foot, and then pull it tight. And if you pull it tight, if the earth's curving, it should stay there. But if it's flat,
we'll go for that.
We barely sink it, it'll pop back up to the top of the water, right? So they can't say that it was.
Yeah, we'll go for that then, right? Yeah, okay, that's a good That's a good, what do you call it? Yeah, I'll go for that. Yeah.
Say it one
That
more.
would-
Say
that
it one
would-
more time, Brian.
Okay, so we got the line, and it's like your idea. Okay, it's on top of the water. It floats, right? Barely floats. It's kind of neutral buoyancy, but it does barely float. Okay, so we need a smidge of weight, like a eighth of an ounce of lead, a little split shot, a tiny split shot in the middle of 2 miles of line that's floating on top of the water. Okay.
You might not know what a
Now-
split shot is, Brian. You might not know what a split shot is.
It's just a tiny little weight that you just clamp onto the line.
Yep.
And it's a little flexible lead weight. And so what you do is you sink it in the middle and let it, just give it a smidge of tension to make sure it's taut. And then we put a
enough
tiny
weight on
little
it.
weight in
Brian,
the middle.
you're saying-
And yeah.
Brian, you're saying put enough weight on it so that it's just sitting there chilling, not wanting to go up in the middle.
Yeah, it just sinks down a couple foot.
That's actually a good
So
idea.
it's beating the buoyancy. So then when you pull it tight, it should straighten out. But the middle where we got the little tiny bit of weight, it shouldn't rise.
That's a
but
good idea,
if the water's flat and we pull it tight, it'll rise. If the water is curved,
Bingo.
it won't go upwards. It'll stay there.
Yep.
not
You know
bad.
how it worked because you done it, Brian, didn't you? You done it over.
I
What was
haven't
it?
done it over any significant distance, but I have
you
it
did.
planned out, and I have.
Didn't you do
I'm
100?
ashamed of
100
myself
meters.
that I haven't done it. Good.
I thought it was 100 meters or something. You did it over or something.
Oh yeah. I did it over water, yeah, but I haven't done a long enough distance. I just wanted to make sure the concept would work, and it did work. And the line went further than their SAG calculators said anyway. But I want to use the neutral buoyant line over a long distance, and I think it'll work, man. But I'm ashamed I haven't done it, but I eventually will get to doing this, man.
Shame on
Me
you,
too.
Brian.
Me too.
Shame on
Me
you.
too. I've been talking about it for a few months. Myself, thinking I've got it all planned in my head, but I'll go with the weight thing. We talked about it before. I get it now. That I'll go with that weight thing because not that I care what they say, but I would do it without the weight. But I'll do the weight because if they're going to say that, I don't really care if they say, "Oh, you've done this and you've done that." Let them say that. I don't give a fuck. I'm not trying to prove to them anything.
I still
No, I
like
mean,
the
I'm
idea
just-
If
of
it
doing
comes
it.
up
I
though,
still-
then
I
it
still like-
it leaves us between concave and flat. It eliminates globe, then it's just left between concave and flat. Then there's something else we could make to see which one it is, concave or flat. I don't think it's concave, but you got to at
I
least
still
consider
like the
that.
idea. I still like the idea of doing it totally underwater, like you put each side a foot underwater, 2 miles, and then you measure it on each end and in the middle. If you use buoyant line, you have to have X amount of inches. The hump. It needs to be deeper in the middle. If it's not
You
there,
would-
the globe's falsified.
I
You
like that
wouldn't-
idea too, man. My plan is actually to do it about an inch under the water. To
Yeah.
be honest, man.
That's what I mean. You got to do it enough to where you account for the hump. If you do it an inch underwater and you're looking for 8 inches of hump, you know what I mean? You got to do it more than the hump you're expecting for.
Right. So 2 foot, about 2 foot, be safe. And then we pull the
At
middle
2
down a
miles,
little
you're
bit
gonna
further.
get 2 miles. You're gonna get an 8-inch hump. So you need to be like, I would do it like a foot.
Yeah.
underwater.
The hump is less than
I think we get
the
about
drop.
a 12-inch.
In order
I think we
to
get about
keep
a
it
12 or
underwater,
16 inch.
in order to keep it underwater, depending what test you're using, those dog leash anchors where they screw into the ground, so your dog can't just rip the leash out. You know what I mean? You ever seen those? Or you could tie it off to a dock or something, depending on the test you're going to use. I want to put too much pressure on a old rotting piece of dock wood or something.
Exactly, Jeremy. You'll have to get something that's got a good fix. Exactly
They're
that.
they're dog.
Yeah, I
leash
know what you're
anchors. You
talking about.
screw-
Exactly.
Yeah.
A big metal pin. A big
That's how
metal
you
pin
keep it
and
under
just
the
hammer it in, man.
No, it's a screw. It screws in.
But you're on the beach. It's sand, Jeremy.
Here's
That'll
something.
work.
Yeah, that might be tough on the beach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
what
I
I'm saying.
wouldn't
It
do-
needs
I
to
wouldn't
be.
do this in the ocean because you're gonna have tides and waves and stuff. I would try to do this in like a pond or a very calm lake or something.
Well, I was going to go up. And visit SE Montreal and do it up there with him. And I think Travis was going to come. I think.
If that falls through, Ali, come to me, man. If that falls through, come to me. If it falls through,
But I
that's when you
can't.
come
I
down.
can't even travel with this thing. This shit that's going on.
The beach
My
would
problem
work
is
if
the
you.
spot I have to do it is not, it's tidal, but we'd have to catch a still tide. The water does slow down. And the
For
couple
an
times
hour.
I had the
Brian,
opportunity,
It stops
the
for an
current was
hour,
running.
Brian. The
Brian, are
water,
you on
the
the
tide
beach?
stops. The tide stops for half an hour before it turns.
Brian, are
So
you
it
on the
comes
beach?
I
in.
have to catch a still tide? Right, well, I have to catch a
Well,
changing
half an
tide.
hour. You've got
Hold
a half
on,
an
hold
hour.
on a
It
second.
sits.
Brian, are you on?
Sorry.
Brian, are you on the beach?
I got access to the beach, but I wouldn't try it at the beach because there's always waves. But the spot that I have is long enough. It's a river. It's an intercoastal.
Well, here's
About a
what you
lake,
can do.
guys.
You can go to the
You should
beach.
find a lake. It's your best
You can
shot.
go to the beach. Hold on.
Yeah,
you
you've
can
got a
go to the
nice
beach.
lake, SE.
Oh yeah, I got a real
Wait,
nice,
let me-
many lakes up here.
I know.
Go,
Let me hear
Guys, you
Jeremy
can
real
go
quick.
ahead, Jeremy. You guys are kind of stepping on Jeremy. Go ahead.
You can go to the beach and dig a. It's sandy. You can just dig a trench out with a shovel. You don't even need any tools or anything. Just bring a shovel.
I thought about
Dig
that,
it.
bro. I thought about that,
Then
but that'd
you
be a
let the
lot
ocean-
of digging. But yeah, I thought about
Then
that.
you let the ocean water fill it up. Then once it's all filled up, you cut it off and put. You have the line already set to go. You cut it off from the ocean, so it's not a connected body of water anymore. And there you go.
If you want to
There's
come help
still-
me dig, bro, if you come to Florida,
Bro.
man, North Florida, I'll
That is a
I'll dig it.
lot of
dig that shit
fucking
in one
digging.
day, bro.
I love digging. I'll come, Brian. I love digging.
Gentlemen, here's something to think about. That the Channel Tunnel going between England and France is 30 miles. Now, when they drilled that tunnel, did they take the shortcut on a curved Earth, or did they follow?
They use lasers. They use lasers
Okay, well, try and think of what curvature there would be above you in the middle of it. If it's 30 miles
Yeah.
long, did they take the shortcut through the Earth, or did they follow the curvature of the Earth, or the surface of a flat Earth?
They just what they did is they dug down so deep and just done a straight line. They started from France, from Calais, with that big, what was it called, Atlas, that big huge
Machine. Yeah.
machine, right?
Mhm.
And a laser, which would have been a laser level, I reckon, right? Which
Okay,
would have been a laser, and they done the same at the other end, and they used that, and I think they were something like a foot off.
So on a curved Earth, in the middle of it, 15-mile mark, how much Earth would be above you compared to maybe the 5-mile mark? How much Earth would be above you if it's a curved Earth or a flat plane?
We need to find out how deep they dug, because they done a straight line right across. That's documented. They used lasers. They never adjusted the lasers. They just shot a straight line, and they programmed it into that big digger.
Can I add something?
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Kate.
I was just thinking that made me think that if they have taken the cord and gone the shortcut, right, and made it horizontal, then what we need to know is the water in that lying flat and horizontal, or is the water curved around the ball? And if it's lying flat and horizontal, we should be able to see a difference between the level of the water and the curve of the Earth on the two sides of
spot on, Paige.
I mean, you should be
Yeah.
able to go in there with
Spot
a.
on.
You
That's
should be
what
able
my
to go.
question.
You should be able to go in there with a spirit level on each end and see.
it. Yeah. See, if
That's
you can
just it. So
figure out
what
whether
they're
the
saying
water's
basically on a
level,
globe Earth.
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so they're saying the water's curving and the ground is flat instead of the ground being curved and the water flat. They're saying exactly the opposite. What they say, a flat body, an actual flat body, would be basically a curve on a sphere. I was talking about the salt flats, and that's exactly what I was trying to illustrate: a flat body of water in a little basin. But the way they have to draw it is a curved. The basin would be flat. And I mean,
You're missing
you
the
see what I'm
point,
saying?
though.
Brandon, hang on.
Well, one sec, let me interrupt it, because I have to say something. They used the laser guys, right, which hit the exact same point every time. This thing, that what do you call it? That thing that dug that tunnel, it was huge, man. It was about, I don't know how, 50 meters, I think it was, diameter or something like that, right? And the centre of that would have been the point of that where that laser went all the time. It wouldn't have went down or up, or because why would it be? It would
So
be
there
the
must be a
shortest route.
difference between the sides and
But
the
yeah,
and
they're
the
gonna
level
shortest
of what
distance.
they've dug.
increment.
Yeah,
but
They're
listen,
going to use the
yeah,
great
and what they
navigator
did,
on that.
yeah, but what they
Is there
did
a way
was,
we can go check to see, like, using a water level or a spirit level or something, what's going on in there, or no?
no, find out how
well, they
deep
already
they
dug
dug
it with a laser, so
Find
Brandon,
Yeah,
out
no, but
how
can we go
deep-
check to see if
the picture that you've got up, Brandon, is interesting. That well, you've just gone away from that. It's interesting that that shows a flat Earth.
I know,
No,
I
it's
saw
not.
that. Yeah, the water's completely flat in this picture. Yeah.
Rather than a 30-mile curve. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's quite a bit of hump in 30 miles. What, 30 times 30 times 2/3, right?
divided by 2?
Well, 30
because-
times 30 is
900.
900.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
That's 1,800, 600 feet.
When you're checking the hump, you got to divide it by 2 because
The Sagittal, yeah.
you're not going for drop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
but
it,
you
is
all
it,
see what I'm
is it
saying
divided
about-
by
in other
2?
words,
Is that what it is?
In the
it's
middle.
got to be.
I thought it was
no,
divided by 4. That's what I thought, but I could be wrong.
It depends because 2 miles should be if you go in the middle of 2 miles, you're going to have 8 inches drop on each side. So the hump would be 8 inches. On
Yeah,
2
but
miles. I think
8
it might
inch
be.
8 inches is normally 2 times 2 times 8 inches, 32 inches, right? Or is my math fucked up?
It depends which model you're using, right? The
Drop
land
in 2
dropping
miles.
or the hump in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
there's different
drop
math,
is
so.
32 inches, right? In
I think so. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah.
oh shit, let me just
But
bring
you're
up
only
the
getting 8
calculator.
inches. But you're only getting
what
8
in
inches.
2 miles? 2 times 2, 4 times 8.
Yeah,
And
but
then
you're only getting 8 inches
16,
a hump.
8
But
inches
you're
a
only
hump,
getting 8
right?
inches a hump.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
it's drop divided by 4.
Yeah, the
If
drop
I-
is
4, my
different
bad,
to the
alright.
hump. Yeah.
By 4. All right.
Yeah,
The
Uh,
hump.
my hump.
I love
my
that, the hump.
my lovely.
Yeah. Is there a way we can go
The
check this
Bislin hump.
tunnel or whatever you guys are
Yeah,
talking
flat
about to
earth
see
map,
if it
that's what
actually
he
is
called it.
going straight or curving or what? Like, can we bring a spirit level in there or?
Well, why don't you? Look, it's dead easy, right? It's all recorded.
I don't even
Find
know.
out.
Where is this?
Dude, find out how deep. Sorry, Jeremy. Find out how deep they dug below sea level on the Dover side, and then find out on the French side, because they would have taken it down at a ramp. They would have stopped at a certain level and then just went straight across. That's a fact. You know that for a fact. It doesn't make sense. It'd be cost more. It'd be more difficult to program the curve into these huge 50-meter bores, bore things. So guaranteed they've done a straight line. Just find out how low they went there from the English side, how low they went to the.
This
Right.
diagram shows that they went like on each side. They went down, and the tunnel is lower in the center than on the ends. It makes it look like there's a big like hill that you're going down and up when you go through this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they would have leveled.
Oh.
They would have slanted it to go down in the beginning. I don't know.
No.
I
What
mean,
they would
if
have
there's a
done
way
there,
Trying to
I
get everybody to
guarantee.
think is
I guarantee they
Think about
they
this,
came
Alan.
into soft. They came into soft like clay or something that they had to go deeper. They had to do that because
yeah.
They went into chalk marl. That's where they were
There
trying
you
to
go,
stay in. Chalk marl.
right. Yeah.
I mean,
right,
if there ain't a way to prove that the Earth's flat with this, I don't know.
not
Well, I
not
got
since he
something to think
moved.
about right here. I got something to think about. Okay, so if they say the great, the Bonneville Salt Flat, okay, is like 100 square, or it's way bigger than that. But like, let's just say 80 miles in each direction. We'll take a section that big of the Bonneville Salt Flat. Okay, so if it's actually flat, if it were on a globe, it would have to be a gentle bowl, right? It'd have to be a gentle bowl coming up about a half mile on each end gradually. A literal flat spot on a globe would be a bowl. So I'm trying to get people to picture.
I don't know
water
about
flat?
that.
Well, think about it.
Oh, yeah.
You might have to have more drop coming in after that to make up for it. I don't know about the bowl.
Yeah,
No,
in every direction, but
it would be like a
How do
bowl
you even
because
get it? Yeah, there'd have to be a dip down and then flat. Like, how do you get the flat part when you've got an upwards curve? Like, you would have to make it like a bowl.
so
Yeah,
what they're
unless-
saying,
yeah.
what they're saying is
the center
flat
of that
spot on the
bowl
Earth-
would be water would all run to the center of it, right?
Right,
Why
exactly.
would it
So-
be a bowl? I don't.
Yeah, and then
understand.
level
would have to
out
be.
over the flat
According
area.
to the rest of the land, it would have to be a bowl. If you judged it with the rest of the land, it would have to be.
Bro,
it'd have to dip down.
Take a little sphere and then just make a part of it flat with a sander or something. It's not going to make a bowl. You're just going to have a flat part and a sphere.
Yeah, but think about their model of gravity, Jeremy. It's supposed to be equal potential from the surface of the sphere to the center of so the center of that is going to be what do they say?
Further down.
That's the
concave,
furthest
or-
down. That's lower in altitude. The center of it would
Think
be
about this, Jeremy. Think about the water. Okay, if you're judging it by the land you're around, if the water on top is arcing, okay, but it's level, then the bottom has to be flat. Wait, I'm trying to get you to think like if the bottom, if you're judging it by what's around you, then it would be a bowl. If the water is supposed to be flat yet it's arcing, then if you're judging it according to the water, then yeah, it's getting deeper in the middle. So it would have to be a sort of bowl if you're judging it by the water, because what they're saying is the water's curved and the ground is flat. Okay, if the ground is flat and it's curving, I don't know.
Wait, let's think about that, because it's like total fucking nonsense. Maybe we're missing something, but let me just open something up and let's draw this together, because this sounds crazy.
Think of having a wooden sphere, and then you shave part of it to be flat on one of the sides or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
you'd
just
have to
going to be a
shave it
flat
from.
spot.
No, it won't just
But
be a
imagine if
flat
it's
spot.
just a little dimple in it.
Look, so let's draw it. So
Imagine like a golf ball, and you got those little dimples are flat on the bottom. You know, we're talking only about a small, tiny little bit of land on the surface of the Earth. It'd be wouldn't be like a whole side shaved off a ball. It'd be like a little dimple in the ball.
Yeah, because think about it, Jeremy. To make even going 3 miles, you have to. If we're trying to make a straight line, they're saying we have to dip down about a foot and a half over a few miles. We have to dip down a couple feet in the middle. So if you're comparing it to the water on top, it would have to be a bowl.
So think about this. So let's say this is the flat spot, right? This is the top. We just kind of peeled the top off of here. So if this was the whole Earth, we just kind of peeled the top off, and so this is a flat spot. This would be the lowest altitude spot. It would be, if this thing is, say, 500 feet thick, this would be negative 500 sea level in the center of this flat spot. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
where's
Are
the
you
shaved
showing
off
more than
piece?
just a
this is
white
the
ball?
shaved off.
Oh, there we go.
This is the
Okay.
shaved off piece. So we're looking from the side. Here, let me put a man on there so it makes it clear, because this is kind of confusing.
Yeah, a flat spot would hold water. In their model, a flat spot would hold water.
So, exactly.
The water would be
That's
curved,
what I'm getting
spot
at. So
would be flat.
this is the man, right? He's standing in the middle. This part where he's standing, and this is, say, I don't know. Let's use a real number here. What did you say? 80 miles on each side. So 40 miles. Let's just use 40 miles, or no, let's do 80. 80 miles wide. 80 miles diameter, this thing. So 4,264 feet. This right here would be 1,000 feet below sea level. The middle part of this would be 1,000 below sea level, and it would increase in towards zero sea level as he got up to the spot where it stopped being flat. Does that make sense? Because it's kind of difficult to describe it.
If you draw the rest of the ball around the bottom of that, if you imagine the rest of the circle being drawn around the bottom, and then draw the circle over the top of the man, you've cut that circle off the top of him, So that's where the water level, if he walked to the left side or the right side, he's at the water level. But the water level would normally go up over him, over the top of the ball, down the other side. So even though it's zero water level on the left or right, in that middle, it should be 1,000 feet further up.
Exactly. So if he's in the middle, any direction he walks, he's walking uphill. If he's in the middle, any direction he walks, he's walking uphill.
Yeah,
basically.
back to sea level. Yep.
Yeah, so here he is. He's on this thing, and it's not a perfect fit, but that's okay. So he's right here. He's standing in the middle of the.
That's it.
Of the flat part of this sphere, right? So this is literally flat, horizontal plane that he's standing on. That's on this sphere. If this was 80 miles wide and he was standing in the center, he'd be 1,000 feet below sea level. And the water.
Would your ears pop?
Flat, but relative to the water, he'd be in a bowl.
He'd be in a bowl, yeah. So if you filled this with water, if you poured water into this flat spot, it should start getting. How the fuck would that work? It should be able to get up to 1,000 feet here. It should turn into a big.
It should go up into a hump.
It should go up into a hump. So, oh my god, that's so stupid.
Do they say the Bolivian salt flats are actually flat though, or do they say that they're just no elevation change or something?
I've got alternating responses on that. George and Rumpus say that it's level.
Gee, what a surprise! They say different things.
I've heard other people say that it's actually flat, and it doesn't make sense if you really think about it. When you're it's mind bending to the way they think. So what they think is the ground. Most of these oceans and shit that just fade down. They're basically flat spots on the planet that hold water with the water bending above it. But in reality, it doesn't make sense, man. It's hard to pick. It's hard to imagine anyway. It's hard to even talk about. You get brain twisted because
it doesn't
relative
make
to
sense.
the water,
It
you're
just
in a bowl.
doesn't.
So to make a flat spot on the Earth, if the Earth is a globe, you have to start dropping down. If you go like 80 miles, you'd have to drop down like almost 1,000 feet in the middle. So every direction you walk from the center, you'd be walking uphill, but it'd be a flat spot. It'd be a flat spot, but that flat spot would have you marching uphill in each direction from the middle.
Correct. Well done.
Go on, Ruhif,
does that comport with the reality as you understand it? Anybody on the panel, does that strike you as, oh yeah, that's how I find reality? That when I'm walking on a flat surface, I'm going down. I mean,
of course it is.
Come on, that's ridiculous.
Well, go and find.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
This
is hey Ruhif, welcome to the panel, by the way.
Yeah.
This is 80 miles wide, 80 miles in diameter, flat spot on the globe. This man.
Yes, you would be walking uphill. Yes.
Okay, but this man, if he started pouring water in here, before it splashed out the sides,
pour water in there.
It would be 1,000 feet.
Gravity.
1,000 feet deep right here, and then it would conform to gravity somehow. It'd be just like a bulge of water just sitting on here.
Hey, let me say one more thing. So by the way we survey, if what they say when we survey flat 10 miles, we're slowly arching around a globe and we don't realize it in slow increments, even though they don't match up. If you do different distances, they wouldn't match up. But so what they're saying is if we're to survey it the way we survey it, this is important. Hold on. If we survey it the way we do planar surveying, we would have to, from the level we get, we have to minus from that in elevation. We have to take the level surface that we shooting through the outer level, and we have to just mathematically deduct like 8 inches per mile squared. We'd have to deduct from the level line that we survey.
No, if you're doing differential leveling or planar surveying correctly, you don't care what shape the Earth is.
Yeah, that's how we get elevation. There's no way to distinguish between elevation and Earth curve. What we get when you go and you survey the bottom of the salt flat is you get a straight line. You get a straight line, a horizontal line.
It properly, that's correct.
If you do surveying properly, you don't care what shape the Earth is.
Why do you say that? What makes you say that comment right there, Ruhif? Why wouldn't you care what shape of the Earth is?
Yes,
if you
he's
do
kind of right.
differential leveling correctly, it doesn't matter what the shape of the Earth is.
But if you do it correctly, it will show you if you're on a curve.
Yeah, it shoots a horizontal line, Riff. How do you distinguish
Yep.
between earth curve and elevation changes? We
Because
don't
if you
shoot
stick,
for earth curve, bro. We shoot for elevation changes.
if you stick your instrument in the middle between the backside and the foresight, then the curvature cancels out. Do you understand that?
Okay, would you agree with this,
Yes.
Riff? This
Is that a
an
yes or
important
no?
question.
No, I've asked you a
I see
question.
what
Do you
you- I see what
It's
you're
not
understand
saying.
that if you
about
Let me
stick
take
the
it
instrument in the
understanding
middle,
it. We
step deeper.
understand we don't agree.
I
It's not
understand
want
the
to-
point.
about
Let me take it
understand.
one
Stop
step deeper,
asking if
Riff.
we understand.
Ruhav,
Ruhav.
Ruhav, can I just say, sorry, Brian,
I've
can I
asked
just say,
Brian a
ask
question.
a
I've
question,
asked Brian a
Ruhav?
question.
Okay then. All right, I'll wait. Sorry,
All
Brian.
right, you can ask me one more time. I'll be honest and I'll answer.
Okay, do you understand that if you do differential leveling correctly, you put your instrument in the middle between the backside and the foresight, then the curvature cancels out. Do you understand?
I've done it a million gajillion times, bro. And literally in real
Yeah.
life, I do it all the time.
I know,
Yeah.
but do you understand that the curvature will cancel out on a globe?
Yeah, 0 cancels
I
out
understand
0.
that-
Yes. No?
I understand, yeah. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. So I'm incrementally
Right.
working my way around the ball, right? That's your claim. I
Yeah.
understand the claim, but let me ask you this. If I were to go different, okay, think of this mathematically. If I were to do my shot 100 meters at a time and back shoot, and then when I'm closing my loop, if I go 200 meters, okay, so I have a bigger line segment, wouldn't it give me a different size radius mathematically? If I
Sorry, would
went
it give you a
different
different radius?
Yes, yeah. If I'm shooting over a circle, okay. If
Yeah.
I'm just on the land, okay, you don't know
Yes,
if
you would
it's
get a
flat or
different
right.
measurement.
Yeah, in other words, I'd have to keep my shots the exact same distance apart on the way there as I would on the way back, okay? Because I
No,
would
no,
get
no.
a different
as long
radius.
as you can have
Yeah, then
shots
that
as long as
changes
you
every
like.
100 meters.
You
Yeah,
can have
think about
shots
it
as long.
mathematically, Roo. If you gave us all the numbers, think
You
about
can
it.
have. Oh, come on. You can have shots as long as you like. If you stick your instrument in the middle, the curvature will cancel out on both sides.
Right, can I ask the question now? Let me
Yes.
jump in now, Ruhav. Thank you.
He hasn't even addressed
How
what
do
he
you measure
said,
that page?
though.
Page, please. Ruhav, how do you actually measure that how do you know that the curvature is getting cancelled out?
Mathematically, it does. If you don't stick your instrument in the middle, that's when you can expose
Wait a minute,
curvature.
right. How do you mean mathematically? What do you do then? So you do your foresight
to draw
first,
it?
right? And then you'll do
Yeah.
your backside. Now, how do you know what do you do? Say for example, you shot, you done your foresight, and it measured 6 foot, and you turned round the other way, right? And you had your staff in the ground, and it measured 6 foot.
Yep.
What would you do to determine that was curving? You were on top of a curve. You were on the
You can't-
apex.
if your
Apex
instrument-
of the ball, shall we say?
Okay, if your instrument is in the middle, then the curvature, like everything curves away from your feet at the same rate, right? So if you're in the middle, and let's say you're doing a 100-meter
Yeah, but
back
what
shot,
happens if I shoot 6 and 6 foot either way?
yeah, then you've
Foresight.
got no elevation change, regardless of whether you're on a globe or a flat Earth. No elevation change.
Right. Well, so you've no elevation change, right? So
Correct.
if I shoot a 6 foot and then do a back sight, you don't understand what a back sight is anyway. I do, but I'll go along with how your understanding of a back sight is, right? So because I shoot a 6, I measure 6 foot that way. I turn it and I measure 5 foot. How do you know it's curve and not elevation?
Because if you're in the middle, the curvature cancels out. So you've got a 1. If you're in the middle,
Yeah, but I'm
you've got a
shooting
1 foot
6
elevation change.
and I've got 5 at the other end. What you telling me? Where am I then?
You've got a 1
Correct.
foot elevation change.
So I'd have
am
to
I
go in a
what?
dead straight line. So in other words, if I
Yeah,
deviate
wait a
from
minute,
straight
wait a
line-
minute. Wait a minute,
No,
right?
you can,
That's
you
what
can
I'm saying. I'm
curve-
doing
you
a
can
back shoot now.
zigzag as
I'm
much as
doing
you
a
want.
back shoot, right? I've put my staff, or stadia if you want to call it, I put my staff down, right? And it reads 5 foot. My theodolite, because you know what a back shoot is and a force shot is, in a back, you know what that is. So now I've got 5 foot there. How do I know that's curving, not a change in elevation?
Because if you put your instrument in the middle, then the curvature
That my
cancels
instrument
out.
is in the middle. Stop saying that.
It is. Okay, good.
We've got past that. I'm in
Then
the
it's a change in
middle.
elevation.
I'm in the middle, right?
Yep.
I'm shooting 6 foot one way. I'm shooting 5 foot the other way. How
Yes.
how do you know that's curve or
It's not if you're in the
not
middle.
elevation?
Right. Okay. It's not if it's in the middle. That's understood by everyone. If instead of being in the middle, if you go and sit yourself at the backside, like within a foot of it or whatever, shoot to your foresight, and then go to the foresight and shoot to your backside, you're doing reciprocal shots then, basically. That's how you expose curvature.
That's
Right,
That's
but
reciprocal.
listen,
That's what
listen.
Hold on, Ellie.
But no, let me finish. Let me finish because I'll just finish with this. Well, if I shot 6 foot one way and 6 foot the other way, that would be the curvature, you dick. Because
No,
I'm
if you're
right
in
in
the
the
middle,
middle.
no.
I'm right in the middle. Am I not?
Okay,
so
it's not curvature.
it'll curve 1 inch that way and 1 inch the other way.
Correct. Well done.
Yeah. So what happens then if it's a 6 foot that way and a 5 foot that way? You told me that was curvature.
No, I said
But you
that's a
never
1
told
foot
me it was
change in
curvature.
elevation.
You never told me
If
it was
you're-
curvature when it was 6 and 6. Because that
If
would have
you are
made
in the
more
middle-
sense.
if
That's
you
what
are
I'm
in
saying.
the
You don't have a
middle-
clue. I'm finished.
Thank
yep.
you. If you are in the middle,
Yep, I'm finished.
Okay.
then it doesn't matter what shape the Earth
Okay.
is.
So the distance doesn't matter. Okay. Then how would I? How could I? If they weren't using Earth, if you're saying the Earth curve, how would I get elevation? You're saying I would have to deduct. So if I shoot a long horizontal line, okay, and then I'd have to do math to.
Thank you, Taking Back Eden FE. Appreciate that. Says, does Ruhif think there is Earth curve at the Bolivian salt flats? I will ask him that. That's a very interesting question, and thanks for the Streamlabs.
Your backside, and you shoot a long foresight, that is an unbalanced shot. You will expose, if you were to do a full circuit on
Exactly.
that.
That's what I'm saying. So we'd have to close the loop the same.
Yeah, and you would
distance shot.
fail. You would fail. Do
Yeah,
the Earth curve.
They don't use the same distance of shots when they're surveying. They don't measure it out and make it exact. Okay, and
If
also
you
what
have
you're saying,
unbalanced-
you're saying I could zigzag. You're saying I could zigzag. So
Yeah,
what if I
you can
went
zigzag,
on a
that's
straight line
fine.
out? If I went on a straight line out and when I came back, I arced around. Okay, I would get more curvature by doing it like that. But dude, that's not how they do. Dude, they shoot and they get elevations. Okay, whatever they do after that, that's mathematics. That's modeling it. Okay, I'm with you on that. But okay, what if I'm at a coastline and I put 6 stakes in front of me along the water and I'm up at the top of the beach? You with me? Okay.
Oh, I've got to get my sentence out first, but sure.
Okay, so I got 6 stakes at level height. I got them at 4 feet above the ground, above the sea level. I'm on the coastline. My stakes are running parallel with the water. So I might wind up with 1,000,000 stakes along the water line, all at 4 feet. Okay, so what if I shoot 6 of them, and then I take the 3 from the left side and I pull them up and put them on the right side. So then I move my auto level down to the right where I'm in the middle of them 6 looking out at the water, and then I make sure the 3 are level, and then I level out the next 3 that I put down. I keep doing that. So I'm not just back shooting. I'm making sure it's an exact straight line. You think them stakes start coming up higher than the ground? You think them stakes start Yeah, I may need to draw it out.
Why are you even here, Ruhif, honestly?
Oh, I'm just waiting for the electricians to finish upstairs. What I was going to say was...
If you're blocking, no, we don't want to hear what you've got to say. If you're going to block people who are trying to explain to you what you're doing wrong...
We did have a question, actually, for Ruhif. Does Ruhif think that there's Earth curve at the Bolivian salt flats?
Of course there is. When they say it's flat, they just mean equal elevation.
Okay, so when they say that the Bolivian salt flats are flat, they mean it curves to match your globe model.
Yeah, it's a poor.
I told you they do the same thing with Kansas and all the states.
Yeah. What? Say again?
I said so. A literal flat line would have to curve downward, basically from our horizontal.
Oh, I think when they use the word flat in salt flats, they just mean no change in elevation. It's a poor choice of words.
So if I were to draw an actual, if the salt flats are curving, an actual straight line would be dipping down, basically.
No, a straight line's not going to dip down. A straight line is straight.
Well, it would have to, relative to the water. If there was water on top, a literal flat spot on the globe, relative to
Yeah,
the
but it's
water
not.
would have to be a bowl.
Why do they use the salt flats for configuring or calibrating satellites or stuff from low Earth orbit, in quotes? Because they say that it's a flat target, so that they can fire at it.
Because it creates a horizontal.
Yeah, because it's a horizontal plane, right?
Yeah, I know you disagree. You're a moron.
Okay, thanks.
You're being very dishonest
Well, otherwise
here
they
at the
just
moment.
use water, man. Otherwise they just use water, right? But
Back to surveying, Brian.
What I was saying with the stakes is this, man. Is basically if you put a bunch of them and you're shooting them and you're running your line orthographic to your shots. In other words, you're not back shooting. You're shooting straight forward the whole time. You're just basically, instead of removing the 3 stakes, we'll keep it simple and say we got. How about this? We got 20 stakes out in front of us, running down the coastline of a water. Okay, we shoot all 20 of them. They're all 4 foot height exactly. So we want to keep that horizontal line moving. So then we add 5 more stakes on. We add 5 more stakes, and then we move the auto level to the right. We're going parallel with the water, and our stakes are going parallel with the water. We're just higher up the beach, basically. So I'm trying to give you a picture in your head. And then we add 5 more stakes, and we shoot them 5 at 4 foot, and then we swivel the auto level over to the left, and we shoot the other ones to make sure it's the same height. So in other words, we're not back shooting, so you could say we're shooting our way around a curve in little segments. We're projecting a straight line. But if that's the case in Earth's a ball, them stakes would have to start after a couple miles. Would have to start getting higher and higher eventually.
Right, so what I think you're saying, it will have to be drawn eventually. But what I think you're saying is that instead of putting your auto level in the middle between your backside and your foresight, you're basically putting it at your backside and shooting long distances forward for each shot. All right. If you do that and you do a circuit, it will not close.
I got a question for Ruhif after he's done.
Brian, I think what you're saying is if we do this and we shoot down and put all the stakes at the same height like this, and then are you saying then we come to the side? So this is the side, the horizon would be back here or whatever, right? Now we're looking at this line of stakes from the side, and we shoot along this side. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about something else? Am I misunderstanding?
I couldn't get it. So yeah, it needs to be drawn by Brian, I think.
Yeah, let's say we put 11 stakes down by the water. We're lined up direct. We're lined up exactly perpendicular with the 11 stakes I just put. We're exactly perpendicular with the one in the middle. So the 6th stake, I got 5 on the right side, 5 on the left side. They're all going along the coastline, okay, along the water line, okay. Then I move down 5 or 6 stake positions, and none of them are over 200 feet away. So I want to keep it where optics, long distance doesn't play a role. So I move myself down and my auto level down, let's say about 100 foot, and then I set a stake right in front of me and 5 more to the right. So now it's hard to explain. I can't see Brandon's drawing, but in other words, I keep a
he's doing a good job
going by. In other words, instead of I'm not in the middle. I'm off to the side. I'm shooting an orthographic straight line. You see what I'm saying?
I think I'm drawing what you're meaning. This is shooting these stakes from the side.
Yeah, I think you are. Yep.
What happened there?
Can you see that, Ruhif?
So what is your question about
Can
this?
you see what Brandon's drawing?
Did I lose you guys?
No, we're here.
My machine locked up for a minute. Don't know whether it was... Yeah, obviously nothing to do with you guys.
Can you see what Brandon's drawing, Ruhif?
Oh, I can, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And he said, 200 feet between stakes, which is,
No.
He's 200 feet within 200.
I'm 200
so you
feet
don't
up
listen.
The beach. Yeah, Ruhif, I'm 200 feet
You're
up
either not listening or you're doing this on purpose.
Shush.
Actually, Ruhif, I'm about 150.
It's being done on purpose. Okay.
The stakes are about 50 feet apart, or maybe if there's 11 of them, they're about 20 feet apart. Okay,
yeah, so you're not going to see
about 100. I'm up the beach about 100 feet. Okay, I'm only 100 feet up the beach, so I'm 100 foot away from the stakes, but I'm up the beach toward the road and shit. But I'm at the top of the beach. I'm shooting the stakes that are running down along the water, and we're going to go along the water. We're going to go for 3 miles, right? And we know we're not forward and back shooting line segments around a globe because every time we shoot them stakes, we're lining them up with the other stakes. So we're moving ourselves physically. Every time we shoot the 11 stakes, we move down about halfway. We move down to the very edge of the stakes, and then we set up
What's
five
this
more
shooting
stakes.
from the side? I don't understand the shooting from the side.
Well, think about it. God, let me find
Yeah,
a
but
better
you're
way
not going
in
to
my
see
head to
curvature
explain
that
it.
way, right? If you're, let's say
if that's
Brandon,
the globe, then them stakes should eventually start becoming higher and higher above the water. Over 3 miles, they should be up 6 foot.
you've said they're all 4 feet above the water.
Yes,
Right.
no, we're not even. I'm just doing it along the water. We start off with 4 feet above the water. Yes, exactly. And if we're doing an orthographic shot, we're not forward and back shooting. We're doing it from the side. In other words, we're making sure that the next 5 stakes are dead lined up with the previous 5 stakes. So the line segments are no longer a factor.
If these,
Can't you
again,
picture 11 stakes?
yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
can't you
trying to
picture
figure out
11?
what you're doing with these side-on things.
Well, I'm doing my
But
shot
again,
side
if
on.
I know, but if, let's say you got pole number 1 and pole number 3, right? And there's a roughly equal distance from your auto level to pole number 1 and pole number 3, then you're going to have the same differential leveling, curvature cancellation. It's not going to show curvature.
No. What?
Yeah.
No,
If
that's
the
incorrect.
distance,
Think about
no,
this.
if the distance
Think about
between your auto level and one of those stakes and the next stake is the same, then the curvature will cancel out.
No, it won't. Not if
Yes,
I'm.
I
Okay,
thought,
so
I thought
imagine
you
this then.
agreed. I thought you understood,
No.
Brian.
I do understand, dude. So I'm
Then
not
what's
explaining
this then?
myself properly. Listen, I'm not explaining myself properly.
Okay.
Can you picture
Oh,
11
hang on,
stakes
hang on,
that are
one
4
sec,
foot
one
above the
sec,
water?
one sec.
Let me get a question in Naruhif after this, please. When
Yeah,
you
go
guys are
ahead,
done.
man. I'm just
No,
having a
when you
hard
guys
time
are done.
explaining this because I'm trying to get him to picture 11 stakes. I'm
Sorry.
right in the middle. Let's say this: there's 11 stakes. They're 10 foot apart from each other, running along the coastline. It's a dead straight ass coastline. I'm 100 foot up the beach. Okay, I'm 100 foot up the beach, and I got my auto level. I shoot them all, and I level them off at 4 foot. Okay, we could check it with a string line. We could check it with a laser. They're all exactly accurate. Now, so it's 200 foot down. So then I move 100 foot to the right. I pick up my auto level. I reset it, and I go to the very last one to the right. So you're up on the beach. You're looking straight ahead, and you're in the middle of basically 10 stakes. Let's just make it 10 to even it out. Now go to the end, to the very last stake. Okay, we know them. The other 9 are dead level with it. So I move down to the last one. Now I'm looking straight ahead at the water from the top of the beach at the very last stake to the right. So then I take all the others. I take 5 more stakes and add them on. So I keep working my way down the beach.
You're going to have to draw it, Brian. It's impossible to
Yeah,
keep
I
up
am.
with this.
He will just say that level, that same elevation that you've got on all those poles is curving around a ball. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
No.
Level, the same elevation is a curve.
I eventually got this through to George. George finally understood the way I'm trying to explain it, and he agreed that I could do that. It'd be tedious as shit, but yeah, he said that if I did that, the stakes would start getting higher and higher to the water. So after 3 miles, he said the stakes will be 6 foot higher.
Yeah, that's what they should
I've never
do.
done it. I've never went far enough to. I went over probably a little over half a mile, and it just got so. I mean, it's just so painfully tedious. But if I had some people with me with as much, with as much determination as me, I could do the full few miles. The only thing you have to calculate for is the tide change. But we could do it in about 8 or 10 hours.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
draw it
on a globe they would get higher and higher. So as you went away from the center, using this method, you think that they would have to get higher and higher to remain at the same horizontal attitude at the top, I guess is what you're saying. So you're trying to make a horizontal line along the stakes.
Yeah.
And you're adjusting the height of the stake or the altitude of the stake to meet that horizontal line. Now on a flat plane, obviously they'd be all the same height, but on a globe, then it would be necessary for them to get higher and higher from that center as you went using this method. But the only thing I don't understand is the method,
Right.
and what would force that
draw it.
line.
Draw it for
What
me
I'm
and send
gonna
me a
do,
DM.
you know what? I
right?
did a video, man, explaining it, but I only
Yeah.
used 3 stakes, so I don't know if anybody would understand it.
I remember
But
watching
I'll make
that.
another video giving a visual demonstration.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
watching
send that to me as well. Send me a link to that.
But I can't remember. I get, or maybe I don't know surveying well enough to know why it would force that to be a flat line at the top. I guess.
Well, you're forcing a flat line. So if you force a flat line and the Earth is a globe, then the flat line would necessarily be a tangent.
Yeah.
So it would have to. So, but if it's flat, then it wouldn't be a tangent. That's the only way I could think of realistically to do a flat line without doing forward and back shots, and that's the only way I can eliminate the claim that you're doing small line segments around a globe. This eliminates that possibility. In reality, though, if it is a globe, the stakes will become higher and higher the further you go.
Excellent.
So that's why I want to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense
All right,
to me,
send
Brian.
Send me a link to the video.
I think that's a fantastic idea if you found some way that'll ensure that they are indeed on the same flat line. It would necessitate these getting higher and higher off the ground.
Yeah,
Brian,
one last
can you
chance.
send me a link
One
to
last
it?
chance to explain this in. So if you just do one stake way ahead, and then you back shoot another one, say at 200 feet in front of you, 200 foot behind you. Okay, I'll give them that. You could segment your way around the globe in small angle increases or with small angles. But side note, if you did different distances, you'd get jumbled responses. But no, if you're shooting 5 of them at a time or 10 of them at a time, and you're keeping the next 5 you put down level with them other 5, then there's no way that you're doing segments around a ball.
Ah.
Each five new stakes you put are level with the 5 stakes that were already there.
All right, let me try to explain it
So
because I
shooting-
think I understand now. So
Yeah.
this would be our first position here. And you'd stand here, you'd put, I've got 3 stakes here, so I'm just going to say 3 stakes. You'd put 3 stakes, and you would use your position here to make sure that they're all in line with each other from this side view, right? And then you would move down to the next position.
But yeah, you're describing it right.
You would move down to the next position, and you would just keep extending this line from the side, thereby eliminating.
From the side, you've got the same distance. If you're shooting from the side and you've got the same distance between, say, that first pole and the third pole, then you're not actually carrying across a horizontal line. You're canceling that curvature again.
That would mean you're shooting a bunch of M's, and that's not possible. As long as you have 10 stakes down and they're all level with each other, and then you move over 5 stake positions, basically, you're in the middle. You're looking off to the right a little bit at an angle, and you see the 10th stake. You look to the left a little bit, and you're shooting the first stake, and all the other ones are in between. So you're projecting a straight line. You're just projecting a straight line. I'm gonna try and I wish I could see what Brandon's drawing, but Brandon, you see what I'm saying? If you're at the top of the beach, you're 100 foot away from the first stake right in front of you. Basically, you put 5 stakes one way and 5 stakes the other way, and you just keep moving down at the top of the beach along the coastline, and you're just making sure that you could do 10 of them, and say the new 10 stakes you put in are dead level with the other 10 stakes. There's no way to get that bend.
No, the shooting from the side. The shooting from the side is what's killing you because it's not giving you a straight line. The only way to get the straight line is to do the auto level on the left in Brandon's diagram.
Yeah, because I think from your position, Brian. Okay, so you're in the center of this circle. So if you shot out the same distance, you'd end up with a semicircle of stakes if you put the stakes on there, right? If they were all at the same height. But maybe I'm not understanding.
Remember that picture I drew you, Brandon, of the two rods on one side and one rod on the other side, and then you move your auto level to the right side, and you use those 2 to line up so you keep your horizontal.
Yeah.
I think that's what Brian's trying to explain. That way you keep the same horizontal since you're lining up with 2 things and not just one.
Yeah, if you did 2,
right.
I think that would work because 2, they're both the same distance. Then you just move down, do 2 more like that.
Let me ask Ruhif though. If you had to do something to try to falsify or prove the globe tangibly without using optics, what would you think of?
I don't know. I've asked that of you guys. particularly Paige. I mean, Paige just goes, oh, you know, I'll use a water level to get a horizontal. And I'm like, how are you demonstrating that a water level gives you a horizontal? It's all an assertion.
So you have no ideas on how you could do this non-optically?
No,
Water
I think
physics.
force the line.
That's how we know how water works through here. You
Then
cannot
demonstrate,
pour
Paige.
water. Okay, I can demonstrate it on a fucking basketball. Pour water on it. It's not going to.
Jesus.
Yeah, cut the top off a circle like Brandon did in that drawing before. Pour water on the top of it. It's not going to hump up on the top of that ball, is it?
Are we doing this experiment on Earth where the gravity is much greater of the Earth than it is on the basketball?
So you
Can't believe you said that,
literally
Paige.
are making an unfalsifiable claim.
No, you're making a stupid fucking experiment, Paige.
Well,
Like,
at
that's
least she
bad
has
as
an
fucking-
experiment that's
his name
demonstrated,
Dell.
repeatable, and
Dell
verifiable.
goes,
whereas
oh, I
you
can't
have
pour
nothing
water on
to
the
force.
fucking basketball.
Trying to get you to use common
You can
sense, bro.
insult her experiment all you
it's
want, but at least
that
it exists.
It's
Yours
that
doesn't.
simple, Ruhif. That is what is so heartbreaking about this whole argument. It's that fucking simple. Water.
Yeah, you break my
My
heart too, Paige.
God.
Love you.
Oh,
Anyway, next
jeez.
question.
Anyway,
It
yeah.
really is
the
just
physical
sad,
measurement,
mate.
sorry. The physical measurement, like something like a force the line where you like have like a really tight fishing line or whatever. You know, how are you going to guarantee there's no sag in it? You know, I've asked Paige plenty of times.
We're
how
going
are
to
you
use it. We're
physically
going to use the
measure it?
buoyant
There's
line.
no
There's no
point
point
asking
Here's what we're going to
Ruhif
do.
or
We're going to
talking
use a
to
buoyant.
Ruhif.
In order to get rid of the sag, we're going to use a buoyant line underwater.
He goes out of his
Buoyant
way to
line.
make sure you can't possibly falsify any of his claims. He literally
Right.
looks for
We
unfalsifiable ways to have his
Reci-
argument.
Reciprocal shots. Do not give your water levels shoot over each other.
They don't give you curve either, bro.
Yes, they do.
Planar surveyors do not measure
No,
curve,
they
bro.
don't.
They do
No,
not.
Let me
Yes.
shoot an
Oh,
idea by
Brian.
Ruhif. What do you think
Brian,
of this?
sorry, hang on. Brian, did you just say planar surveyors do not take into account curve?
Yes, man. Why don't you take
Right.
the challenge of
So,
that?
how
Go
many
to
times have
Myrtle
I
Beach.
told you?
He'll give you $10,000 if you go
Yeah,
a mile
I've
and show
spoken-
Earth curve with using planar
I've spoken to
surveying.
Ray. Did we not agree and understand that if you sit your instrument in the middle, that negates Earth curvature? Did we not agree to that?
No, we don't agree. We understand that's what you're claiming
Okay.
on your stupid
So-
model. It doesn't
then
mean you
Brian's
don't
saying-
understand.
So then Brian's saying planar surveyors or differential leveling doesn't take into account Earth curvature as some sort of
No,
comeback.
they
is
add it
stupid.
on afterwards.
No, they don't. They
add
don't
it.
have to.
Yes, they
do
do.
elevation. All they do is topographical shit. They don't even
Yeah.
consider Earth curve. They don't add it or
Right.
subtract it.
Okay, so
Okay,
you're
so
saying the
is
same
that
thing. You guys are
all
violently
shooting for
agreeing.
elevation.
It's just Ruhif is trying to put it in, frame it in terms of a globe and saying that the curvature is being negated because of the methodology used. Well, we're saying they
Yes.
don't have to worry about it because there is no fucking Earth curve.
Exactly.
Either way, they're not worried about
Ruhif.
Earth curve.
Exactly,
Planar
unfalsifiable.
surveyors
do not
We
buy it.
can't prove there's any curve there.
Let me
He's
run
saying
how to
the curve
expose
will
Earth
measure
curvature?
flat and horizontal.
No.
Like, how
Let me run this by-
ridiculous.
If you
me
don't
run this
do
by Ru-
differential leveling correctly, then you will expose Earth curvature, just like I did with my video.
Let me run this by you
Then
real
why-
quick,
Oh
Ruhif.
my god.
Let me run this
Not
by
So
you
you're
real
saying
quick.
that the
Let's say
wrong
we
way
had
to
a-
do it is to find Earth curve. Cool.
Hey, Paige and I would have a very. Actually, I won't go there.
Ruhif, let me run my little thing by you that I want to do. I
Ruhif, I
want to
don't
take.
have.
What the?
Go, Jeremy. Yeah.
All right, let's say we have 2 miles worth of fishing line, right? It's buoyant, it floats. We put it 1 foot under the water on one end, 1 foot under the water on the other end, and then pull it tight. And then let's say there's not an 8-inch hump in the middle, and it's only, let's say it's less than 4 inches in the middle. Would you think Earth is still a sphere? We have still, keep in mind, this is still water, no
No.
tides, no waves.
Yeah, but I don't know whether water changes it. I mean, it would still have some weight.
It wants to float. There's no sag. It wants to go up.
Yeah, but then if it's further underwater in the middle, there'd be more buoyant force, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Well, think about it.
I can't.
Because if,
Yeah,
if you
need
have
to
less
think
than,
about that.
if it's deeper than 4 inches in the middle, it's not a globe.
Yeah, I just see it as a sagging in reverse. I do need to think about it, but yeah,
How about this? Let me get them thinking like this, Jeremy. Okay, so if we take that same we'll go 2.5 miles. Okay, and then we have it a foot under the water on each end. We have it pretty tight, not very tight, just enough where it's okay. And now we sink the middle. We want it to sag. Okay, but it's not really going to sag much because it's buoyant line. It could sag maybe a smidge. Who cares? We have to sink it down underneath in the middle. In the middle, we use just barely enough weight, maybe a crumb in the middle, whatever weight it takes to sink it down about a foot in the middle. Now, if we pull it tight and it gestures up even a little bit, and the middle gestures up when we pull it tight, wouldn't you agree that it's trying to straighten itself out and it's heading for the top because the Earth is flat? Or if it was a ball, it would nudge down a little bit, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if someone does it,
I messed up, man. I messed up, and I'm in 3 miles. Okay, so we sink it down 1 foot under. So if it's a globe, it would have to go down a foot to have a tangent. On a flat Earth, it would come up a foot. So we have the line down, each end down 1 foot. In the middle, we have it sank an extra foot. So if it's a globe, it'll pull the line down a foot. If it's flat, it'll pull the line up a foot, or it'll try to anyway. If it even gestures up an inch, then it's flat. If it gestures down an inch, then it's curved.
I just think it'll be inconclusive.
Well, you don't.
I mean, someone's welcome to do it, of course, but yeah, I wouldn't be convinced of that.
You wouldn't be convinced if we had a line that floats a foot down on each end,
like
and then there's no hump in the middle. You wouldn't be convinced.
I would need to think about it. Oh, hang on 1 sec.
You don't need to split shot, Brian. It's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? You don't want it to sag. You want it to be buoyant.
I was saying
you
a
want it
split
to be
shot,
buoyant, though.
Just so we'd understand that we're pulling the middle down. Do you see what I'm saying though? If we went 3 miles, there's and we have the line down on each end, and we have the whole line down 1 foot from the water. Okay, the tangent to that on a globe would be 3 foot down. Okay, so let's just say the line's at the top of the water. No, we got to go down a foot. Yeah, the line's 1 foot under the water. So if we're on a globe, the tangent would be 2 feet down, about roughly 2 feet down. So we split
Something
the difference.
like that.
So we drop it down in the middle, and if it's a globe and you pull it tight, it would sink down a little bit more. If it's flat,
yeah, you've got sagging in reverse, which is going to be hard to negate.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't need to
that's
come
what
all
I
the
mean.
way
If
up.
it's
If it
less
even
than
gestures upward.
if it's less than the hump in the middle, then it's not a globe. No split shots or nothing. Just the line. It wants to float. If it's less than the hump, supposed to be in the middle, and we got still water and the line's tight, there's no hump there, then it's just not a globe. I mean, this is the one way I see how to falsify the globe.
Why would there be reverse sag? Hold on. I want to hear about this reverse sag. What the hell are you talking about? How could we have reverse sag?
It's buoyant. The line wants to float.
Yeah, no. To get around the sag of a normal experiment, like a Forster line, flat earthers will say, "Oh, the line must have sagged." This is kind of the reverse, where they've got a buoyant line. I don't see how that can be taken care of properly.
Well,
unless I'm missing something.
Okay, but it's not being the buoyancy is not pulling that much force on this line upwards, is it? I mean,
I don't know. How than buoyant is this line? Like that's yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying that the way to do it would be obviously.
It's beside the point. If the hump's not there, the line wants to go up. So if the hump's not there, the buoyancy's working in their favor for the globe. So if the hump's not there, they'll have literally no excuse out of this.
How about this,
Jeremy? If we can't do it optically because they're two totally different geometries. One geometry has parallel lines intersecting.
They are shitting bricks.
That's not a different geometry.
I posed this to them in gems, and I had them flip it and walk out.
They went intersective. Parallel lines meet. In Euclidean geometry, they don't. Two different geometries.
Y'all, let me give it one more try. Okay, Riff, let me ask you this. If we have 3 miles of line and it's floating on top of the water, it's floating, okay?
Yep.
And we pull it tight and it did what it was supposed to do, where would the middle of that line wind up? If we were able to pull an exact straight line with each end of the 3 mile line,
should be under the water at the hump, right?
Yeah, they have an out for that though.
Yeah,
they have an
should be
out.
a little bit under.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm eliminating that out. So how far down would it be?
Whatever it is.
Approximately.
Whatever the statute is. I haven't, how
So
far are we
what,
talking?
2 inches
2
in a
feet, whatever.
mile, or
Something like that. Yeah,
whatever.
2 inches a mile. Sounds good.
No, hold on. It's let's say between 3 miles, it would be about what? About a foot down, right? Okay.
I don't know.
So we
Whatever.
9 times 8.
It's 72. It's at least a foot. Okay. So we drop the
what's that
line
foot?
down. Oh, is he figuring it out?
No, just
So
we'll
eliminate-
assume a foot. It's fine.
Okay, so we'll assume a foot.
going on, everyone?
What's up, Matrix?
What's up?
So here it is. We assume a foot.
Hey,
Let's
Matrix.
just say so we assume a foot. So the line's floating on top. We go to pull it, and on a globe, it would pull down a foot. But they're saying no, the line's keeping it floating. You know, it's reverse sag. So then what we do is we pull the line down in the middle, down to 1 foot where it should be on a globe, and we pull the line tight till it breaks. If that line in the middle nudges upwards, then it's flat, man. If it even hints upwards, like a few inches. In other words, we don't have to get it completely tight. If it goes up a few inches even at all, it should be going down
Yeah.
if it's a globe. He just admitted that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd love to see this. Maybe someone
Why
do
don't
it.
you, Ruhif? Why don't you try to come up with a way that's not?
Well,
you
you've
know,
got
that
the
doesn't
money,
involve
Ruhif. Come
optics,
on.
That can
Open your wallet. Help the community out.
Ruhif, why don't
Second,
you
Joe.
try to come up? Why don't you try to come up with something, Ruhif, that can, do this non-optically? Something tangible
Yeah,
we can
they-
touch.
No, it's you guys that are dismissing optics.
Well, don't you
optics
want
is-
to
is
falsify
perfectly
the?
fine
Hold
way.
on, don't
Yes,
you want
because
to
they're
falsify the
different
globe, Ruhif?
geometries.
Isn't
They're
that how
not
science
different
works? You guys want to
geometries.
Ruhif, don't you want to
They
falsify the globe?
are.
Ruhif, don't you want to falsify the globe? Isn't that how science works? You're always trying to falsify your shit.
Yeah, and I do it optically.
We could falsify the flat Earth
Light's
if
bending.
If it is a globe.
That's like just giving up halfway.
But light's
Well,
bending,
good enough
Ruhif.
for
You
me.
can't make
Yeah.
a straight. How are you?
How do you determine the difference between the land and determining curve with your eyes?
What?
How could you tell the difference of the curve? You said that optically, right? How
Yeah.
do you know when you measuring this curve is not something that your eye is doing, or
Well,
that
okay,
is
my camera does it. What's wrong with my camera?
everything that has a visual thing, camera has an effect. But how do you determine that the curve that what you're saying is the curvature is the land, the actual land, the thing that we're standing on, or is just something that you interpret optically? How do you rule that out?
Exactly.
Because there's no explanation from you guys about why 2,000
No,
meters
no,
of
no.
mountain is below the
False-
horizon.
But
So
do you?
he's
Yes,
no
there
help.
is. We've
He's
given
no
you
help. He said it's on
plenty.
us.
Hold on,
He
guys.
said it's on us.
What you just said is not
He said
valid.
it's
Right?
on-
Just because we don't have an explanation doesn't mean you could dismiss it, right? You do
Falsification
understand.
is independent of replacement. Isn't that what it is? What they say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This guy has no input. He's no help. He said it's on us to falsify his claim. So, what are we doing?
Yes, and he's given us an unfalsifiable model by saying that a horizontal line is actually curved around a ball. So we literally have no way to prove it to this guy.
Just demonstrate that a water level gives you horizontal over a long distance.
I will give it to them.
We have in geometry. You won't
No, it's
accept
not
it.
geometry. That's like saying, your
God.
model says this. Geometry is drawing on a piece of paper page.
Geometry is earth measure, Ruhif.
No, geometry,
Yeah, we ain't
that
gonna
might
prove
be
it
the
to him.
etymology of the
No,
word.
hey. No.
That might be the etymology of the word. Geometry is what
Yeah,
I do
so
when I
why
draw
did
shit on a
they-
piece of paper.
Yeah, so why did they call it earth measure if it
Yeah,
didn't
I
come
don't
from
care. It's the same
measuring-
page as
But
saying
we
the word
do care because
horizontal
that
comes
is
from
what,
horizon.
that's how you find out the truth, Ruhif, by...
Yeah, and if you take into your geometry an assumption that water levels give you a horizontal, then bam, water levels give you horizontal. Big fucking whoop.
Yeah, we're not going to prove this
We're
on
not
paper or
assuming
with
because we have
definitions.
water
Exactly.
physics. We
Yeah,
know how
definitions
water
and shit.
behaves.
Page definitions and shit. Ain't gonna, they're saying water behaves differently, and we're
Right.
it's up to us to prove it because they don't have to do anything. Ruhif just said it's on us. I don't give a fuck. Go
No,
do something.
We
Yeah.
know the water, we
And
know
look-
the horizon.
He's
And
not.
he was
They're not
talking.
interested in falsifying their model. They
And
don't
look at
want
those-
it falsified. They're happy.
Assuming-
They're happy, wrapped up in their little comfy blankies, snuggled on their ball, with their little TV on, being lied to. It's very, very comfortable in that world.
Did you hear how dismissive he sounded with the assuming?
Yeah.
At the same time,
Yeah.
assuming the distance to the sun, assuming the size of Venus, assuming all these things that we couldn't possibly prove.
Look, the way
And
you do
yet,
it.
when we do make those assumptions, everything works.
No, you've got two
Okay,
bodies.
but according to you,
the
that
math
doesn't matter
for more
because
than
whenever you go into it with an assumption, you're going to prove what you want to prove. Like
Everything
you just
works
said.
means absolutely nothing when you're assuming things. Do you
look.
understand that?
The way you do it is you assume a geometry, you assume the Earth is flat, then you work
we've
out what you.
assumed Euclidean.
Hold on. You assume the world
Okay,
is
then,
flat,
sorry.
and then you measure something to see what, and then you make a prediction from that model of geometry what you would expect to see, and then you say there's a competing model, a spherical model, and then you see what the predictions that will make, and then you go out and make measurements to determine which one is correct. And because we know
Yay.
that
And
things
then you
on
ignore a
horizon
bunch of
drop-
variables that
let
actually
me
matter,
finish my
like
sentence.
perspective.
Let me finish my sentence. And then when you go out and you measure the drop and you see things being obscured by the horizon, you know you're on a spherical thing. And so we can, and the sort of thing
How
that
do you determine between the eyes or the actual land, Rumpus? Even if you find curve, how can you tell that is the land that's curving or is the optical device
So
that you're
hang
using?
on. So now
can
you
you
have
tell?
a physical horizon blocking things again.
It sounds like you're conundrum. You guys are claiming curve.
You hang on. You've claimed all the time that the geometric horizon isn't.
Right,
You can't see
okay,
the
you're going to have to
geometric.
listen. Right, okay. Now, please listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. The geometric horizon assumes straight lines from the horizon to you. When we say the apparent horizon, you've got a curved line. So the geometric
can I ask
horizon.
why would you assume parallel lines when you
Please let
see
me finish my sentence.
divergent rays
Can I
with your
finish
eyes?
my sentence?
I just want
So
clarification.
let me. Yeah, no. Okay. Well, I've nearly finished. Then you can
Okay,
come back at me.
go on.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks. So when we talk about a geometric horizon, we're not saying that the apparent horizon is not result of some physical body. We're just saying the geometric horizon is the result. We're saying that the
We
geometric
only
horizon.
have one.
Oh, come on. The geometric.
All right, go on. Sorry, I can't help myself.
Jesus Christ. The apparent horizon is what we see, but the geometric horizon is what we would see if there was no atmosphere. So that when we talk about geometric horizon, that the apparent horizon is still a physical entity, but it's just been moved because the light from it is curves. It's no less solid. It's no less physical than the geometric horizon. It's just in a different place because of the bending of the light.
Very
How-
true.
How are you
Can I
so
ask
secure
why-
about this no atmosphere thing? How are you so secure about that? What have you done to
He
rule
just
that
told
out?
you a once upon a time story.
Well,
That's what
well,
the
we
Russians
know that
just
light
did to us.
bends.
Well,
Hold on.
I just want to know
waste of
why.
time.
What has Rufus, Ruhif or Rumpus done to eliminate the, having atmosphere? How could you just say those things?
They
without
have one.
having.
I'm trying to answer your question. Do you accept that light is refracted in the atmosphere? Do you accept that?
Well, I want to know first why you would assume the light rays were coming in parallel when you see them with your own eyes not parallel.
I don't
So
understand.
why
what
would
you
you
mean
even-
by, what do you mean by lines?
Like when you look at the sun coming through, when you see the sun rays coming down, you can see they're not parallel.
Well, they are parallel. It's just perspective that causes them to look like they're just like railway lines.
So it is a totally different geometry. You've got parallel lines intersecting in
Well,
perspective.
Yes, in perspective, they look as though they're coming together. but
Hear
that's
that,
your 2D
Ruhif?
version.
Yes,
understand.
different geometries.
Well, yes. I mean, you have to. This is the.
See, you
you're-
guys
when you,
can't even agree with each other. It's
we
so
can. I'm
frustrating.
completely in agreement with Ruhif. Oh, he's gone. I chased him off. Oh dear. I can assure you, Ruhif
then
will
why
exactly.
did he say they're the same geometry?
He agrees with me, and he and I are in completely 100%
Oh,
agreement.
once you get together and have your little powwows, then you start agreeing with each other. But when we catch you on the fly and just back you into a corner, you all start saying different shit.
No,
I mean,
Paige
the
is
amount of
right.
times like
Paige is
Nathan,
right.
Nathan played you saying one thing, then saying something exactly the opposite. Yeah, oh no. Yes,
No, we
You guys
get
are all,
Rui
you guys are
Rui
bouncing. You guys are all over
particularly.
the fucking place.
Not at all.
You
Rui,
are.
You
You
are
guys
all
are
over the
all
fucking
over
place.
the
What way-
place.
what way are
I've
we in
caught
disagreement?
many of you guys,
I just
myself,
told
being all
you.
over the
Rui
I-
said they're the same geometry.
You mean other than
Perspective and Euclidean.
Well, no. What do you mean? What are the same geometry?
The geometry that causes parallel lines to intersect, your perspective, the geometry that you see, compared to Euclidean geometry.
It's the same. Perspective geometry is
He's
Euclidean
saying they're
geometry.
the same. No, it's not.
They
They have
are.
parallel.
They
You
are.
just said then. Oh my God! See, a minute ago
Euclidean-
you said that they were
There's
different.
no difference
Perspective
between
geometry was
Euclidean
different.
geometry.
What the fuck?
You seem to think there's something different about Euclidean geometry is just geometry.
Can you do
It
what
is-
Nathan did the other day, Brandon, and play him saying
Right, let's
that
just
they
try.
were the same
Let's just
and
try.
now play?
Do you know what the difference is between Euclidean and non-Euclidean geometry? There's one fundamental difference.
Yeah, one's not the geometry we use to measure the Earth. One's a made up.
No, they're the same. No,
Perspective-based.
the only difference in Euclidean and non-Euclidean geometry is that straight lines in non-Euclidean geometry can say follow a curve, and therefore straight parallel lines can
Yeah,
come
and how
together.
nonsense is
Can-
that?
Straight
Well,
parallel lines on a curve.
Right, here we go. Let's try it.
Jesus Christ,
Yes,
dude.
I
Right, here we go. Here we go, Paige.
I
If I would give
understand.
Geometry is
No,
against
no,
us,
well,
so
you
we'll
know,
just
I do. I
redefine
just
geometry
don't
in
agree.
terms of
You
our
just
ball,
did.
and
Oh,
then we
can
can
I
say
finish my
that
sentence?
parallel lines
So
are
if you have a
curves.
ball, if I have a ball, and like a football or your basketball in your parlance, and I drew a straight line from one end to the other, I could then draw along
Like
the
around the
surface.
equator.
Oh my goodness! And then if I draw
just,
another, can I just finish for only a few seconds? And if I drew another line from the same bottom, one point on the ball, then to another side, those are two straight lines on a curved surface, and those two things
No.
come together. They are. That's how
What
we
the
call
fuck?
a geodesic a straight line in that geometry. And that geometry is non-Euclidean. But all the other geometry we're talking about, like perspective geometry, in which you work out perspective, is all Euclidean.
You can call You can call lines on a ball straight lines if you want, but they're not straight lines.
Well, they're defined as the
No,
shortest
they're
distance
not.
between 2 points. That's what non-Euclidean geometry is.
No, that's your chord.
No, a chord goes through the surface.
Yeah, that's
You go along
the shortest.
surface. In maths, we call a geodesic a straight line in a non-Euclidean space. It's the shortest distance between 2 points on a curved surface.
Why do we
And
care
that's
about
what
this? We don't care about your geodesics. We're
This
looking
is
for
literally a
scientific
waste.
evidence, to be honest with you.
This is
And
a waste of fucking
Paige
time.
came up with the idea I was using non-Euclidean geometry or something. I wasn't. The geometry you use to calculate the perspective, in other words, what you see, and the geometry you use to do the rest of the geometry of positioning things or doing geometry, exactly the same thing. There is no difference, just like
No.
you said.
No,
all right,
no.
well,
Perspective, the way you would draw something in perspective compared to orthogonal is completely different. No.
Well, it's still Euclidean.
No.
Yes.
perspective is
No.
not Euclidean geometry.
It
It is not.
Euclidean.
It is
If you draw
not.
something
No.
in perspective,
is.
you're
No.
drawing
Because
lines
you'll end up thinking you live on a
meeting in the
giant ball
distance.
if you make that mistake.
All right. I can't. You're speaking of one.
How can he just describe Euclidean and non-Euclidean, then send it's the same thing? What the fuck?
If Euclidean and perspective are the
Oh,
same, why in
they've lost the
perspective?
shit.
Why in perspective do straight parallel lines appear to meet?
Well, they appear to me, but they don't actually.
Yeah, but
But they don't
in
actually.
Euclidean geometry, they don't even appear to meet. They're always the same
Yes,
distance apart.
that's why they're different.
Yeah.
Because if you drew it in
question,
perspective,
Jeremy.
they do
Fucking
meet.
delusional. This guy is a waste of time.
Hey, well, I
You don't
want to
know what
move
you're
on,
talking
so
about.
just stop talking to him
Don't
for a
know what you're
minute.
talking about.
All due
Hey,
respect
Brandon,
to everyone
Brandon.
involved, just hold on.
Could I say something, please, Brandon? Could I just say something? Ask the rumpus something.
Oh,
I won't,
come on.
Oh, please, it's important.
All right,
it is.
all right. If it's
I've
important,
said
go
nothing.
ahead.
I've kept out.
All right.
I've kept. Thank you, and I will. Which non-Euclidean geometry are you talking about, rumpus?
The one where
Which
you're
one?
talking about moving along the surface of a
No,
of a
which one
sphere.
is that? Yeah, but which
Spherical
one are you
geometry.
talking about?
Well, it's
Yeah, which one?
Non-Euclidean spherical geometry.
What are you applying it to, bro? What
Right.
are you applying non-Euclidean is what he's asking.
Right. Well, it's
Well, I
non.
have answered him.
Man, yeah, okay, but I'll just point out something. Your non-Euclidean spherical geometry is based on slices the only way, when you say that straight lines can be curved or the shortest distance, that's on a slice, that's on the vertical, horizontal, or whatever angle, but it's on a planar surface. So it's actually, you'd be looking at from above. Yes, it is.
No,
You're a moron.
No,
You'd
you
be
don't know
looking
what
at
you're
from
talking about.
above.
You are a moron.
It's a planar.
Yeah, it is.
It's
no
a
idea what
slice.
you're
It's a
talking
planar
about.
surface.
Yes,
Go
I
and
do.
look up
It's
non-Euclidean geometry, and
yes.
you will find that it agrees exactly with what I said.
No,
You clearly have no
non-Euclidean
idea. You've obviously
spherical.
never. You
No,
just
it's not.
asking-
It's done.
You don't understand the question you're asking.
Well,
You
it's
don't
done
understand the
that
answer
on-
I'm giving. You are a
One
moron.
second. It's done on an XY-X axis, right?
Yeah, you can do it on
And
that.
to
Yeah.
get the curve, yes, I know it is, and it's looked at in a two-dimensional, because you can't do the whole circle inside that.
It's not two-dimensional.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean the
it
surface?
is.
Okay, you
You
can
have
regard the
to-
surface. Okay, you can
It-
regard
it
the
is
surface
drawn.
of a. You can regard
No,
the
you can't.
surface of a split. Yes,
No,
you
you
can.
can't.
Yes, you can. 'cause
Wait a
you can
minute,
describe
you
it.
Jeremy.
can't.
Wait a minute,
Draw me
Jeremy.
the
Please,
curve.
please,
Yes, you
just
can.
Draw me
Chunky,
the
Chunky,
surface of
Chunky
a
Buffalo
sphere.
and I
Anything-
went through this.
Okay.
And
Draw
look, here
me
we
the
go.
surface.
Guys,
Go watch
the
the
guys,
video
he's
with
gonna
me
make us
on
chase our
Typing Instruct.
tail. He's gonna make us chase
No, I'm
our
not.
tail
I'm just giving
about
you
geometry
I'm just
that they
teaching
made
you about
up.
geometry.
That they
No,
made
you just
up
don't
to
understand
try
it.
to
my
wrap
fault
the
you don't
world
understand
around their
this, Brandon.
ball. That's
Yep,
all we're
imagine
talking
geometry.
about. We're talking about.
don't understand
I don't
geometry.
really care the
Hold on, real quick,
intricacies
real quick,
of
Rumpus.
their
You know, you don't
mathematics
understand
for how
understand
they
your geometry
pretend that
perfectly,
the
that's
Earth
why
is
we
a
don't
giant
accept
ball,
it.
guys. Let's move on. Did anybody see Taboo Conspiracy's latest video? It's titled "Great Salt Lake Laser
So
Test."
27 miles.
21 miles, no curvature is the
21,
name of it. Yeah, 21 miles.
That was great.
Oh, it was awesome, right? So I'm gonna
it on
play
the
a little
salt?
bit of it. They're out at the Great Salt Lakes. You can see that here. And I was surprised it's not frozen, but then I remembered that has so much salt in it, it never freezes, I believe. But plus, it's in Utah in the desert. But so he's out there. He got a buddy at night, and he shows the map and all the coordinates in here for where he's at, and gives the calculations. The calculations are solid. Goes through. Here's the locations. So he's got Taboo Conspiracy. Then he's got his buddy down here. 21 miles. They went there at night with lasers.
Lasers, all right.
Yep. At lasers. They were each on the shore. I'm not exactly sure what elevations I'm sure he says in here. But he did calculate that there should be 220 foot hidden from those two positions for the 21 mile distance based on the elevation and the exact locations. He gives the exact long for each position. I mean, he did this really well. And they set up, Taboo, I believe, had here's the laser. Taboo had a P900 or a P1000, and the other guy had a regular laser. And just to give you an idea for how tall 220 feet is, this is a giant, I'll try to make this bigger for the audience. I forgot about that. 1 second. He had this giant cross right here. You can see like there's a building down in the left corner. See in comparison to the highway, that's 200 and something odd feet. So when we say that much should be hidden, that's how much should be hidden. That's a pretty good sized building that you'd find in downtown. 220 feet. It's like 70 meters, something like that. 70 plus meters.
Well, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna get.
I mean,
you have
I got one word. Anyone thinking of doing an observation? Tons of these. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna do it. They can do this. They can just get around this with one word: refraction. And that's it. Next time you want to get a flashlight or a laser beam or do some bullshit with 4 fucking helicopters and airplanes and shit, remember this moment.
Yeah, because
Well,
that's what we're
believe
about to
in
hear.
growth.
No, we're not going to go off on tangents yet. So I'm going to get to the observation, and then we can talk about it. Appreciate the enthusiasm, though. So here they are on the beach. Let me just try to find the spot. So he's filming at night, looking across, and then at some point, there it is. There's the laser flash. Did you see it? So he got a direct laser flash. Bam. There it is, right there. 21 miles.
How big that laser? Do you know how big that laser beam would be over that distance of 20
Don't
miles?
care.
How much bigger it
Don't
would
care.
become?
So they did it from the
You don't
other
care,
side
okay.
too. So here
Rather
it is.
vital, but you don't care. Okay.
Here is a shot of that laser. There's a still shot. Pretty dang clear. You can even see a reflection off of the water, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, the reflection of the water. Yep.
It does look like we're getting a nice head-on view at this laser. That's what it appears. And then he went to the other side and he kind of showed what the laser looked like shooting across. And yeah,
see how it's getting bigger.
Yes, I can see how it's getting bigger. Yes,
Oh,
I
look
understand
how
that.
great
So
that
does it
is.
get
You can
big
see it-
enough
you-
to go
you can
over
see how it's spreading out.
220-foot hump? Is that what you're
Do you
trying
know
to tell
how big
me?
it's going to be?
Why don't I see it
Over
curving
21
yet?
miles.
Why don't I see it
Over
curving?
Well, because
No, it's not
I presume
getting wide
you're not
enough
being able to
to
see to where.
get over.
I mean, it's so far you probably can't see.
Say
You can't,
refraction, Rumpus. Say refraction.
yeah, refraction will do it. But the point
There you
is, a beam over 6 miles, for instance, you would get a distance. I think it's of 100 feet wide. Over 21 miles, that thing would be incredibly wide.
Yeah, right.
Now, well, it's just a function you look if you don't accept. You just go and look up the spec.
Then
of
it
a-
would be so
go and look
faded
at the
out, you
spec
wouldn't be able
of
to
a
see
laser.
the
A laser pointer.
hot
Okay.
dot and the reflection on the water.
I know,
you can
Rumpus.
see
We're
it.
not
It's just
seeing
a
what we
wide
see.
expanse of light.
In this picture, you can see it's
It's
getting
curving
bigger,
around a
even though it's
giant
getting
hump of
further
water,
away.
and we're not actually
Who
seeing
cares?
the
Who
laser that
cares?
we're actually seeing. I understand.
Oh, shut up, Rumpus. God.
You can't deny it's getting
There's
bigger.
no
it's getting
hump
further
in that
away.
laser.
I think
It doesn't matter if it's getting bigger.
I think in the point on the laser and it getting bigger, I think Rumpus is right, but that's the only thing he's right on.
Well, yeah, it obviously
It
gets
doesn't
bigger,
matter.
but
Yeah, sure.
does
the
it
line will
getting
spread
bigger?
out, sure, but you've got a tangential problem. You've got a tangential problem with the hump of your Earth, mate. You've either got to bullshit on about refraction or you have to concede.
Right,
Only
the
two
light
options.
getting bigger doesn't change how it moves. It's
I
still
mean, you
going
accept
straight.
refraction, presumably.
Because
but
his horizon was blocking the bottom of mountains before.
Exactly, that's the tangential problem. Either
But-
the Earth's blocking it or it's refraction. They're the only two options you've got, mate.
Right,
Is
so
it
if I see a
refraction,
mirage,
Rumpus?
if I see a
Rumpus,
mirage,
They
does
is
that
it
mean the thing's
refraction?
upside down?
Whichever suits them.
If I
Rumpus,
see a
is it
mirage, does that
refraction?
mean to say the thing I'm looking at is upside down? No, because that's what refraction can do. So you have to accept that refraction exists
What
and
the- what are you
causes
going
There
on?
it is, Jeremy. There it is. There it is.
Well,
Is
it's a
there a
fact.
margin of
You can't
error
ignore
for
it.
reflection, Rumpus? Is there
There
a
is
margin
nothing
of
you
error?
could show these people at this point.
Hold on.
There's no
Is there-
observation that will do anything because they're just going to
Rumpus.
say refraction and walk away.
No, we know, but
Jeremy-
we're not showing this
Rumpus.
for Rumpus or Ruhif or
No.
paid NASA
No doubt.
Shill or whoever. We're showing this for the audience so they can see what is very
Yeah.
obvious when you
Alright,
look
no
at this.
doubt.
This laser is going
You're right.
straight out over this damn water, and the other guy is obviously seeing the fucking laser, not the big wide laser refracted over a 5-story building high hump of fucking water in the center.
Brandon, I got a quick question. Did he catch a
Well
side-on
said.
view? Brandon, did he catch a side-on view of this?
I think this is as close as they got. They looked like this down the laser like that.
Yeah, George has tried to do exactly this. He's tried to get a side-on view going over a distance of 6 miles, and unfortunately, seeing it side-on, you just can't see the beam at all, unfortunately. You can only see it looking down the thing.
That's what Randy wanted to do with his drones too.
Oh, bummer.
You know,
And
Side-on view would be
and-
neat.
and here's their
and-
argument for them. We'll give their argument
Whenever I
for them.
can.
And George recently did some observations of the change in the position of his. He's got this lake outside, and you can see a mast thing about 2 or 3 miles away. And recently, he had it moving up and down by huge amounts due to looming. So these things move around depending on the conditions. You can't deny that refraction is having a big effect on what you
Yeah,
can and
that's what
cannot
we're
see.
trying to tell you. Things move
Well,
around
we're
like that
not
because
a guy here claiming that refraction isn't a factor in being able to see things. That's
Well,
the point. It flattens the
No,
Earth. As you
that's
refract
not-
around the Earth, you can see further than the geometry tells you because of refraction.
I was gonna ask you, Rumpus, do you have a calculation that shows us that refraction is impossible, or is it always something that you could say refraction? For example, 100 miles. Like, do you have a margin of error that you could say no, refraction is not capable of doing that?
There's no cap, bro. He already said you could see your own ass in a telescope. There's
The discussion, you could just say
there's no
refraction.
limit.
But Matrix,
Everything.
refraction can cause mirages, things to go upside down. If you accept that those are valid, then you can see what refraction can do.
Not a problem. But could it still be flat and refract? Just because it's flat doesn't mean it is not going to have any kind of refraction.
You can have refraction on a flat Earth, yes.
But have you worked that out? Because you seem to say that everything is refracted. So how is it that we're going to be able?
You need to show us curve, not refraction, and all you're doing is showing us refraction.
Right,
You just keep saying everything's refraction. We want to see curve. We know everything's refracted. It refracts on a flat Earth too.
But
like, show us the difference.
Right.
For fuck's sake.
Well, it is tricky. It is very tricky. It is incredibly tricky to differentiate the refraction effects from the curvature effects. That does make it very difficult, because the refraction is usually the standard refraction, the standard conditions. Refraction, something at, let's say, 6 miles, will give you 1/6 of the effect, or eliminate 1/6 of the curvature. But if you get something like the black swan conditions, or possibly the conditions we're looking at
We
here,
need Travis or Ranty or someone.
It can mean that it looks completely flat.
No,
refraction
this
has an
whole,
amazing
this whole
effect.
argument about refraction is going to get us nowhere fast.
No, that we could show them 100 mile, like you said, Jeremy, 100 mile, and he would still say it's refracting around the curve. This is 21 miles. A guy points a laser at another guy and gets it on film. It isn't fucking being bent down over a 220-foot-high hump of water between them.
Yes, it is.
Absolute fucking nonsense. Prove it.
You don't know what
Prove
you're talking
it.
about.
This is
Listen to how
empirical
high his
evidence
voice
that the
goes when
Earth
he
is
says
flat.
that.
Prove it. Prove it. Prove the laser bent.
Stop arguing.
They can't prove
You're making
anything.
the claim. You're making the claim. You prove it.
I just showed you empirical evidence. Falsify it.
You're making the claim. Prove it.
But that's like saying I could present you with a mirage.
They
and
are
say
proving
things are
it.
turned
They're
upside
showing
down.
you
You
the
say that's
empirical observation with no sort of interpretation required. You look at it and watch it happen. That's the truth, unless you can prove otherwise.
There's no curve in
That's it.
any of this.
You can watch it happen.
Zero curve. No curve in the laser. We see the laser head on. Prove it's not.
George has got observations of things that go up and down, and what's more, the recent observation he got was one with circulating rays. In other words, the light was going around the same curvature as the radius of Earth, which is actually the conditions, as whoever it, Jeremy pointed out, said, hold on, that you could, in theory, see your own bottom if the light was able to go all the way around the Earth and not be hit by mountains. He's actually got that.
Yeah, that's nonsense. Brandon, I have a question.
Go ahead, Rakia.
Why are we using 220 foot with a 5-foot observer height? That 5-foot observer height would mean that the laser would be on the ground. If both things are at 5 foot or 6 foot above the shoreline, then it's 0 viewer height. Does that make sense?
No, that's idiotic. Whatever it was. Stupid.
That's your view, and
oh yes.
You're
Eye
seeing
level.
horizontal. You're seeing eye level. So why are you putting in 5-foot observer height?
Yeah, it should be
You're not looking
0.
down. Yeah, you're not looking down to the horizon.
It's
You're
5
looking
foot
at
to
the
5 foot,
laser, which
spot
is
on,
also
Dave.
5 foot above the water.
Yeah, good
it should
pickup.
Be
Well
280
done.
or 290 foot of
so that is sea level.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, no, that determines what's hidden. That gives you the hidden value. You have to put in the value. And Brandon was claiming you're missing.
Yeah, but they're
whatever it was,
both at the
70
same height, so it's
They're
0
both at the same light
elevation
rumpus. Try
difference.
and
They're
keep
both
up,
at the same
mate.
height.
Try and keep up.
0.
The hidden
The
value
laser
is
is
determined
not
by
at
the
that.
observation.
Yeah, so the hidden value is from 0.
What
Yeah,
you're
it's
looking
from
at is
0.
how much you're missing is another issue. What the hidden value you get is entirely dependent on the observer height.
Oh, yes.
And just the observer
Yeah,
height.
Rumpus is right.
Okay, so we've got that's
Because
fine.
you've
So
got
we
to take the measurement of the Earth from the Earth, not from their eye height.
well, here's
Even
the
though they're both
calculation.
the same.
5 foot
Well, you've
eye height.
You've chosen
21 miles.
refraction.
Then we've got 220 foot. So you're telling me that there's some refractive number I can put in here? Of course there is. A slider
in this
scale that'll
calculation,
make
you
it
pick
fit
the
to the
graphic
ball
calculator.
because your model is unfalsifiable. If
Yes, it
this
is. Of course
doesn't
it is.
falsify your model, then absolutely nothing
course it
optically
is.
will. We know that. So your model is not valid.
Except for
It is
Oh my
absolutely
goodness.
valid.
except
Show
you
us
have to
a
ignore a
laser
whole bunch
bending
of space
280
stuff and
foot
ignore the
at 21
Eratosthenes
miles.
experiment, ignore a bunch of other stuff.
Oh,
I suppose,
shut
yeah.
up, Eratosthenes.
Oh, who's that
Eratosthenes,
mumbling?
go ahead and do it. Do it. Paige, you should. How the stars looking in Australia today, Paige?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about
Right?
Eratosthenes. So this is pretty cool. This
Why not? Because it
21 mile
disproves you. Because
test.
don't talk about Eratosthenes because it disproves
Do you
you.
know
right,
how
Brandon?
much time we've spent over the last 5 years talking
He
about
only
fucking
had 2.
Eratosthenes paid
He
NASA
didn't
shill?
do 3, so
We'll
there's
do
no
3
point
then.
talking about him because even Neil deGrasse. Well, the point is, you keep bringing up Eratosthenes when Neil
proves it,
deGrasse Tyson's
and
made it
you
very
don't need-
clear
and
he
excuse me,
only
and you don't need
used 2,
refraction
so
for Eratosthenes.
his.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you can't keep bringing up his example.
Yes, I can,
the
because it
only
proves the Earth is
two.
round and it does
If you
not
guys
require
bring-
refraction.
His one doesn't.
It does.
Brandon,
it
bring
doesn't
up the
require
sticks in
video
the
I-
ground hundreds of
You
years
haven't
ago,
done it
you're
with
in
three.
trouble.
bring up the video I gave you of the Eratosthenes experiment on a flat surface.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Multiple sticks.
Doesn't
Multiple
work.
sticks.
With more than 2 sticks,
It
it doesn't
doesn't
work.
even know if this guy lived.
It does.
I don't have
Yeah,
the
it's
link
not-
handy. I
it's
can't
not-
remember
it's
who
not
it's
video.
from.
Okay, unless the sun is in multiple places at the same time, so is the sun
We
a
have
real
it on
object or is
video,
it
and
fake?
it fucking works, and you're full
Doesn't
of
work,
shit.
Jeremy. The
It
math
doesn't.
doesn't
We
work.
have it on
It's been
video.
tested, Jeremy.
The math doesn't work, Jeremy.
It's been tested, and we
And
have
nor
it on
do the
video working on a
observations.
flat surface.
Math won't work, Jeremy. You don't know
Slide it-
math, so
slide
you don't
got
know it.
20
Oh,
You've
slide
got
got
to
20 people to give
Do
the,
it
the
in
I
reality.
have it.
We've done it in
Slide's
reality,
done that.
Paige, and it proves the
No,
Earth is
not
round.
with more than two.
Yes, they've
Yeah,
done with
more
like
than
20, 30
No.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
he
have a
did.
video of it working on a flat surface.
Oh,
No, you
please show
haven't.
me this video.
You haven't. You must have made an error.
It's in our DMs, Brandon.
By the way, they're talking about no
So
optics.
what do
will
we have
validate-
to assume?
I just want to come back to Brandon's
What do you
point
have
about
to
optics.
assume to get what you
just
ever, whatever you did?
The question that Brandon was making the claim that using optics you can't invalidate the spherical Earth. Well, actually, the problem with these observations is they're all near the horizon, very low angles. If you do what as paid Massachusetts, you do something like Eratosthenes, or you make observations to the Polaris where you're looking up, then the optical, the issue of refraction then disappears.
Except you rely on presuppositions about the way things should look at a
What they
distance.
are, where
You
they
ignore
are,
that there's a
how
finite
they
vanishing
behave.
point, and
No,
that
if you-
parallel
No,
lines
now
appear
with
to
the sun you don't.
converge.
Now with the sun you
If
don't,
you
Brandon.
understood
You have to
triangles, you would
ignore
understand.
things
Not with
and
the sun,
assume
Brandon.
things.
Guy every time.
If you
Not
understood
with the sun,
triangles, you would
Brandon.
realise
Yep,
Polaris
you do.
cannot behave as it does on
Every
a flat
time,
Earth.
Ben. So
Is the sun a real object or not?
You can't show
Should
me
we go
any
through
experimental
it?
evidence
Is
that
the
you
sun
can
a real
apply
object or is it a-
trigonometry at distance on a flat
Yes, you can.
extended
Every day
plane,
you can.
and it
Okay, of
would
course you can.
accurately
Just because you fell asleep during trigonometry class doesn't mean
triangulate
it's fake.
You don't-
to
okay,
the
well, that's
object
the problem.
So why
from
don't you
multiple
guys
positions. You don't have any experimental evidence to support that. What you do is you do it on Earth, and then you add
rock
the
solid.
Earth curvature.
No, we don't. No, we
Yes,
don't.
you do.
No.
Yes, you do.
No.
You don't use
We can
straight
say-
trigonometry on
if
Earth.
it was rock
No.
solid, it
You
wouldn't have
don't.
any
In
effect.
reality, no one uses
can
straight
say-
trigonometry.
Necessary, Paige. One of two
We can-
things: either the Earth
Can you
either right comes
give
in
an
parallel,
example
or
on how it
Well,
will
you guys
Well,
are
it's not a
awfully
real
excited
object.
over
Pick
this
one.
curvature test here, this
On the flat
laser
Earth,
test.
because
we
you
can
have
show
a
you what
laser. How big
Polaris.
is this laser beam by the time you got to the other guy? Anyway,
Well,
by the way?
oh, you're
Figure
gonna
that
go
out?
with laser beam thickness too? Yeah,
Yeah.
Rumpus didn't like the girth either.
Yeah. So
That's because you're some handheld laser that's probably like 100 feet wide, 300 feet wide. Who
Exactly.
knows how wide?
Yeah, exactly.
Why would it
Bigger than
matter
that.
how big it is if
Okay,
it's all
I found
going
the
in a straight
video.
line?
What does it matter?
Yeah.
It matters a
I
lot.
found the video
That
there.
is.
No, it
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't. If it's all going in a straight
Yes, it
line,
does.
it doesn't matter how big it could get a
what you're saying
million
is that, well,
miles
it's three-
in diameter, and it would not matter as long as it's going in a straight line.
I found the video of Eratosthenes.
Either the
working on a
curve
flat
blocks it
surface.
or it
Why don't-
doesn't. It
Oh,
literally
did
doesn't
you
matter
hear
what
me
size it
talking?
gets to.
Yeah, but
Eratosthenes
see if you
working on
had,
flat-
can
Come
I
on,
just say
guys.
something? See if you had,
Where are you
see if you
posting this,
had
please?
a big, if you had a big, say, 50 or a 20 foot high white sign, even if that light hit that sign any point, it would show the hump, wouldn't it? It would show a shadow on that, and if it hit it and it didn't show that, then you would have a problem, right?
Oh, good evening, gang.
Oh, hey, George.
Oh, this is just
Well,
really
I
fucking easy.
just tuned in. I find it rather amusing that math challenged people are trying to tell people that do know how to use
Oh,
math.
so straight
Oh,
away.
yeah. George.
I think
George.
we should play Monopoly and
I-
give George the boot.
I thought you were telling people you weren't going to come in here anymore. What the fuck
No.
are you doing back?
They don't like
Just go
this laser
away.
test. They don't like this laser test. Isn't it funny that George comes in, Rumpus, paid NASA shill, and they all want to jump
Look at it.
in when
Yeah,
we're
no
looking
kidding,
at
man.
this
You got the front lines
excellent
active right now.
evidence that the
Well, you-
Earth is flat. This empirical evidence that the surface of the Earth doesn't
not.
have a 220-foot hump between these two observers.
Get that voice a little bit higher pitched, Rumpus. That's
You don't
fucking
like
funny,
trigonometry.
actually, when your voice goes all high like that. I love it. Nathan gets you to do it all
You don't use trigonometry for that kind of. No, you don't. You don't apply straight trigonometry to site angles.
Want to use trigonometry
No, you don't.
Polaris because you don't understand it and
You don't use trigonometry for the angles to Polaris, do you?
How do you think
You don't use it for the angles to anything in distance.
How do you think they navigated for hundreds of years using Polaris?
That's a cause and effect relationship. I go this far, Polaris drops this far. If I go this much further, it drops this further. It's site angles.
The angle is your height.
No, the angle. It will not work.
Position A, it's here. I go to position B, it's there.
No, it doesn't work on a flat Earth.
It does.
It cannot work on a flat Earth.
Hey, listen to me. Listen. It is a predictable. Hold on.
One location or in multiple locations?
Hold on. It is a predictable change in the altitude of Polaris with the distance you move away or toward it. That's all you need to know to navigate.
Oh, so on a flat,
Brandon, you mentioned laser jet.
So on a flat Earth, the Polaris is in multiple locations at the same time.
It's not in multiple locations.
It has to be.
No, your presuppositions are bullshit.
No, it's not a presupposition.
There is.
It's trigonometry. On a flat Earth,
you don't apply trigonometry to long distance site angles.
No,
you don't do that.
No.
It doesn't work at distance.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't.
What is the analogy you've got?
You can't use that for the celestial objects.
That's what you're using to find your latitude.
No, you're not.
Yes, you are.
Bullshit.
Angle.
You think Polaris is directly above, 3,000 miles above the
I don't know what height it is.
Compass, hold on a second.
Trying to straw man you with that.
I know. Now they're trying to push me into some Polaris argument because they don't like this laser test.
And at the equator, it's absolutely flat. It's right on the surface of the Earth. So depending on what latitude you're at, the altitude of Polaris has to vary for the triangle to work.
No.
Just because you guys slept through trigonometry class doesn't mean it's fake.
Will you shut up, paid NASA shill? Stop acting like it's fucking brain science to be able to triangulate something.
Hey, Brandon, this laser test you were mentioning, is this the one that's on the Great Salt Lake that's pictured here in the chat?
Yeah, this is Taboo Conspiracy. Yeah.
Now, do you realize that the Great Salt Lake is very salty, very conductive?
Oh, for fuck's sake, George.
Yes.
Is this a new excuse? First we had the girth, then we had the curving light. Now we've got the conductivity of the salt. Prove it.
Yes.
Prove it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that one too.
Salty water has ions in it, negative and positive.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey, Brandon, are we going to agree that he's crazy on this one? That's crazy.
George is right.
Brandon, have you seen those?
Oh, I'm sure he's right. I'm not accepting that as an excuse. Prove it. Prove this laser
He's
curved.
digging a hole. But every time they tell you the science, they're digging holes for themselves. But as I say, but he's right. He's absolutely right. But they just keep digging holes for themselves. But let him go.
You have to realize that a conductive body of water like the Great Salt Lake will guide electromagnetic waves along it.
Yeah, and when waves crash, they cause
I think you just cut out, Allie.
Oh. But anyway, Brandon, the short version is electromagnetic waves will follow conductive medium. So light will be conducted, laser light along the surface of the Great Salt Lake will be guided along the surface and curve along the surface.
Oh, that's wrong too, but that's
nice theory.
Well,
so not theory.
I got a simpler theory.
I do know that occurs with radar, for instance. With radar,
that's actually a new one. I didn't expect that.
It is a new one.
We're
not using that argument, but I do know that with radar, that actually, as George says, there is a hugging effect caused by it acting like a waveguide.
Don't you guys just want to stick with the
hugging effect?
I'm not going to go with him. Sorry.
With the regular refraction excuse,
with this electromagnetic wave, I don't know. It's not an argument I've ever used before, but George knows a lot about this stuff.
Yeah, it must have been the hugging effect, guys. Forget about this 21-mile laser test. It was the hugging effect.
It certainly happened with radar, anyway.
You guys think we're buying this shit? Do you guys actually think we're buying this shit?
Blurps of love shit over water.
Do you think we're buying this
Everything's
crap?
over water. Bedford level's over water. This is over water.
Because the water's
The stupid
flat.
black
However,
swan is
because
over
you're
water.
doing it over land with-
Because water
are you gonna do it over
isn't
land
bendy
with,
like you say it is. That's why.
Mike,
I don't mind the water.
No, you just got to power through it. You're never going to get a word
Water
in with this
conforms to its
group
container.
that's here tonight
The
without
water is
pushing
that it
through.
always had-
Unlike mountains.
The problem with water is that people, they're always because there's a temperature differential on these things.
That was
Yeah, but
that
there's
was a
also-
special
Going
little
over
bit of
water
bullshit there,
because
Paige
it's
Nessa
actually
Shill.
worse-
Thank you.
Paige Nessa Shill, it's actually worse over ground. If you're doing it on a sunny day, the ground gets much hotter and you actually get a bigger.
Well, if you're doing it on a sunny day, yeah.
Hey, Brandon, I've got a real live test for you. You and I could do it
Guys,
together.
temperature is a thing, so the Earth must
Let's
be
hear it,
flat.
George. George, let's hear it.
No,
Go
what
ahead,
we can
George.
do,
Let's hear this
Brandon,
test.
Okay, we each have a plastic bucket. I'll put distilled water in my bucket. We'll put water from the Great Salt Lake in your bucket. We'll stick a wire in each bucket and ground it to the earth, and then we'll each grab a live wire on 120 volt by sticking our foot
We
in.
already know
with,
what's going to happen.
Yeah,
air.
George.
We'll
I
see
am not.
if there's any conductivity.
What
I
is
thought
that
he was
going to
gonna
prove
have
to me,
something
George?
good.
What do you
This
think
is
that's
such a
going to prove?
straw
Hold on,
man.
hold on,
It's
hold on.
gonna
What do you think that's going to prove to me, George?
You just laughed at me for saying that salt water is
I'm
conductive,
laughing
so-
because you
No,
offered it
yeah.
as an excuse for why we can see this laser head on at 21 miles.
Well, there's many reasons.
Yeah,
Just,
the first and foremost is that the Earth is flat. The water's flat.
How come it doesn't work all the time then? If the Earth is flat, it should work
There's
all the
many
time, not just on special occasions.
Because we have temperature and refraction and everything on
the bending of
Because the
planet
same
too.
thing you brought up earlier, temperature is a thing.
You just can't ever show us curves and always show us refraction.
One hand wave it away.
Yeah, one at a time. Hold on.
Hear multiple people talking and no
No,
one can
dude,
get
you've
heard
never
at
shown
all.
curve. You've only ever
Hey,
shown refraction.
Hey,
You
show
show
curve.
things
People
that say
talking,
refraction.
The pictures from space are fake, right?
All
That shows curve.
Yes.
Things
Yeah.
disappearing from the bottom up shows curve.
We
Paige.
can't validate the pictures from space, so we have to throw those
You
out.
can't?
They're
Why
not
not?
scientific
Why not?
evidence.
Yeah, I can't validate them.
Yeah, we're into science, scientific evidence,
Yeah, you don't
falsifiable,
get scientific evidence.
repeatable,
Go in there, taking
verifiable,
pictures,
that type of thing.
bringing rocks down.
I know it's a weird thing for people to be
How
into.
would we validate those photos?
I don't know. That's a good question. How could we validate those photos from space?
Well, you've got live feeds and things. So, well, the fact, okay, you can
Live
see the
feeds.
cloud formations match. The
You're not
pictures.
allowed to. You
No,
have to
they
just
see
believe.
the problem with that, Rumpus, is they have supercomputers that they feed all the weather data into, and they have
All
other
weather
computer
data.
programs that they
Wow.
can do live simulations
CGI,
of the
right?
clouds.
Back
It's
in
very
19-
simple.
back
It's
in
not that
1972.
complicated, and they've already admitted to that.
Back in 1972, they had CGI,
They didn't
right?
need
The
CGI
60s,
back
they
in
had CGI,
1972.
right?
The TV sets were really bad. They could just do fake stuff. Like they didn't need CGI. They could just do like fake sets and
They
stuff.
admit that they're fake. They admit
Like,
that they're
I
Yeah.
don't
Not
know
admit they're fake.
the resolution
No
of
one
a
admits
television
they're
back
fake,
then,
idiots,
but it's
except
not
you.
like your 1080p 4K screens today.
We can
That's not
see
how it works.
pictures from
the
space
sky.
is
We know
why
it's
we're
there.
talking.
We can establish the ice is there. You can see it yourself and see that it's there. You can then do some triangulation on it to establish where it is. How
Nonsense.
And then they can show
You can do
a picture.
triangulation
Why
on
do
a
you
thing
even
that
get
you've never
so
verified.
butthurt over space
They
not
won't
being
even do the
right?
Earth toxin experiment. Do you think they could do
All right.
triangulation? The space
Let me
station?
say something. Let me say something. If we were ready to accept the bullshit pictures from space that our government gives to us, do you think we'd be in this room talking right now? What is the
I
point
don't
of
know,
bringing
because
up
you have to hand
something
wave something
that you
away.
know we can't
They're
validate,
fucking retarded.
can't
Oh,
we can
verify?
validate
What's
it.
the point?
There are people
Yeah, we
in there.
choose
We're-
not to believe them.
We
Yeah, you
don't
choose not to
trust
believe
the
a lot of stuff,
government. We're
don't you?
looking for
I've never heard of my
scientific
fucking
evidence.
Yes, that's our choice.
Someone claiming
Your
to
choice to be an idiot,
that's
that's
not the
true.
same as verification.
They're
It's your choice to be
literally-
an idiot.
They're
You can ignore reality if you want. Anytime, yeah, sure, it's your choice, Paige.
I think we better let
And the reason why they do
Dude,
this.
how is space
Brian, you're-
my reality? You absolute numpty.
Brian, it's hard to hear
That
you
is
with your
so
mic.
far from my how
You're not
am I
coming through
going
loud
to
enough.
reality when I've never been to fucking space, you absolute
Okay, go at
numpty
night.
potato.
Go at night. Look south and tell me where Florida is.
Guys, I can't hear anybody. I can't hear anybody. We're
Yeah,
all
this is
talking
gonna
all
sound
over
like
each
shit
other all the
right now.
time. We got to chill the hell out. All
Yeah,
right?
let me get one word in. Okay, their shouldn't see the laser is Polaris. If you map out your map using spherical trigonometry, then it's going to match the way you mapped it out. That's not proof. The laser beam is reality. Okay, we can see it in reality. Your proof is Polaris. Our proof is reality. A laser beam. And then
Polaris isn't reality.
On the Hemlock website, there are admitted overlays. They take the weather and they overlay it onto the NASA blue marble.
Hey, Phil Bell, you can see the satellites with your own eyes. Stop lying. No one fucking said there's no satellites. You took the words and twisted them as usual. It gets so old, dude. It gets so old. The straw men, constant straw men. We had a couple super chats. I'm gonna let them go at it for a minute and read you the super chats. Taking Back Eden FE donated $1. Thank you very much. Rumpus, if the laser is tilted up by a few degrees, will gravity demonstrate a visible hugging effect then? I'll ask him that. And then Taking Back Eden FE again, $3. Thank you very much. There are extreme level or flat places like Florida and the Bolivian salt flats. Is there any place Ruhif can name where curve is visible from Earth or building on Earth? That'd be an interesting question. Is Ruhif still around? No, shoot, sorry. And I think that was it. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Sorry I didn't read them right away. All right, let's check in on them and see what's going on. I'm sure they have equipment up in the sky for taking photographs or sensors somehow up there. No one disputes that there are something up there called satellites or whatever. What they are, we don't know. I would imagine the government would try to keep that a secret and not spill all its secrets about its advanced technology. Maybe that's just me being naive.
Asking you, what would you do with the raw data if you had it? I'm not attacking you at this moment. I'm asking you, what would you do with the raw data?
You said.
Yeah, it is what I said.
That's
what would you
not
do with the raw
what you
data?
said. You said you wouldn't know what to do.
That's correct. You wouldn't know what to do with the raw data.
So you were attacking
That's
me,
not attacking
the
you. I'm just telling
person.
you wouldn't know what to do with the raw data.
Oh my
Tell us
God.
what you would do with it, Paige.
I'd scrutinize the data and then...
You wouldn't know what to do with the raw data. Nobody in this room would know what to do with the raw data.
Wouldn't you have to model it?
Absolutely pathetic. What a
The
man.
raw data from what?
I would
Who's talking?
scrutinize the
Hey,
data
how's
and then
how's Polaris
question
looking
the
from
source.
Australia
That's
these
all I
days?
do.
I'd like to know.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
I have $1 million
Probably
wager
Polaris.
with Flat Earth ICTs to get a picture
You
of
got
us.
$1 million.
Polaris.
Eratosthenes thing on the
No,
flat.
I want a picture of
Polaris
Polaris
from Australia?
from Australia. It's correct. Picture Polaris from
Did you
Australia.
guys go
please.
look at the Eratosthenes thing on the flat surface, or are you just going to ignore that?
No,
I haven't looked at that yet. I will look. I promise.
see
I promise I will look at that.
Only a fucking idiot would expect to see Polaris from Australia.
Well, why
My
can't you see
God.
Polaris from Australia? You know why? Because it's south of the equator and you can't see it.
Angular resolution.
Is it being blocked by the geometric horizon by any chance?
Yes, correct.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
In effect, because
so there's physical so there's a physical geometric horizon.
Yeah, that one's that's refracted.
Yeah, well, it doesn't
if you
refract
get up
Polaris
nice
to
and
Australia, does it?
If you get up nice and high, say the top of a mountain, you decide in Australia to get up a nice top of a high mountain.
How high
and
do you have
decide
to go?
Let me
That's
can
just
I finish
fucking
my
full of
sentence?
shit.
Can
They're
I
all
just
full of
finish my
shit.
sentence, Brian? Let me finish my sentence. So if you get up a nice and high and you're away from all the low-level refraction, then the effective refraction, the apparent horizon, and the geometric horizon will be so close together that you can say they're one and the same.
Cool, Rumpus. So what is the data
You got to get high to see things clearly. Is that what I'm hearing from Rumpus?
Well,
Guys,
that
you're
me-
hearing multiple
if you do
people
that,
talk
you
at
reduce the
once.
difference between the
Am I the only
apparent
one that can
horizon
hear
and the geometric horizon. If you get up nice and
Where'd
high.
you get the data?
Your
that
mic's
you
really low,
uploaded?
Jeremy.
That's a damn good way to live your life, eh?
3 miles away.
All right.
I didn't hear
So,
So
you
where do
guys
we
are
get this
biting
data?
on everything that these guys throw out there. I just want to point that out, that they are now controlling the conversation by throwing bullshit out there.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
let's go
bullshit.
back now.
It's
let's
actually
get back to
100% fact. You guys don't recognize facts.
We
and
don't.
bullshit.
We really don't care. We have a different idea of what facts
I know
are.
you don't care. That's it. You
But
don't care about what's
we're into
true.
science.
You care
You
about
guys are into
your-
pseudoscience.
You don't care
So
about
let's
science.
ask Jeremy
You don't care
about
you don't
the
know what
video
science
that he
is.
put
It's
in.
devolved.
And you keep
I'm
just,
not
hey,
looking
Peyton
at that.
Nasa
Hold on a
Shill,
second.
you just keep talking over everybody. So you're going to get
Brandon,
booted
am I good
really
now?
Because you all
soon.
talk bunches.
Brandon, am I good now?
Yeah, you're good.
Everybody
Go
else is
ahead.
talking over everybody, and I'm the one.
Laser, man.
Yeah, just
Anything
let's
that's
all
a-
try not to
that's
talk
a laser
over each
beam.
other. Say that
Yeah,
again,
you guys gotta
Brian.
have
You
some
sound
kind
like
of-
you're talking through a tin can all of a sudden for some reason. No
All
offense.
right,
You
man.
guys got to
They don't have
realize when there's two
Anything
people
that they don't have
talking
to
at
talk
once.
about the laser.
You know, you guys got to realize when there's two people talking at once, the audience can't hear either one of you. So it's fucking worthless. Let's try to act like adults, please. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we got plenty of time, guys.
Just one question.
Well, one thing would be useful about this later. I mean, I'm
No,
happy that
shut up,
Brandon wants-
Rumpus. Hold on. You're not
I'm happy to talk
controlling
about
the. You're
laser.
not controlling the agenda. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I'm happy to talk about laser.
All right. You want to say something about this video that you posted? It's from Dr. John D's Decimal Z. And it's from 2017, so probably a lot of people are familiar with this, but it's a 34-minute video. I'm not sure I remember it well enough to understand what the point of it was. But they were I know he's been looking into and investigating these Polaris angles, and there seems to be some thought out there, and this is what Paid NASA's show was getting at, that we should be able to use straight trigonometry on a flat plane in order to triangulate the location of celestial objects. I am not convinced of that. I don't know why that would be the case at long distances.
Brandon,
it hasn't been scientifically
that's what I was going to
proven.
bring up before about the 3D holograms that you look at from two different directions and they're both looking at you. It doesn't matter where you move, it's always looking at you.
Yeah, my grandma
Do you know
used to have a
them?
picture on her wall with Jesus, and the eyeballs would always be looking at
So
you.
the sun is a
They're
hologram?
even more advanced. They're way more advanced now. Like,
The sun is a
amazingly
hologram?
so.
We're not saying the sun's a
It could
hologram.
be.
You don't have to pipe in and
could
say
be a one
something
that actually
stupid and
interacts.
childish every single time, Paid NASA show.
Well, no, I mean, you're talking about holograms now, and as if you can... You're saying that trigonometry isn't real because
was
of holograms.
using it as an
Holograms
example.
are
That's
holograms?
not what she
We're
said.
just bringing up a different idea.
So
Holograms
you
are
said,
inside.
you
We
said
have
Brandon,
them.
we
We
couldn't
use
use
them. Why can't we look
trigonometry
at them?
to look at celestial objects. Well, that's how we do stellar parallax. That's how we work out.
No, it's not. It's not.
Our argument boils down.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Boils
You're
down
using
to
Euclidean. You don't know
holograms
anything
and
about the
Rumpus.
subject.
Not
That's
how we're
we do
talking
it.
about it, with the base of the triangle being the surface of the Earth.
No, we don't
right?
do that because it's obviously the Earth's not
Exactly.
flat, yeah.
So it's not the exact same thing, is it? No one uses trigonometry on Earth to locate celestial objects using trigonometry where the base of the triangle
Well,
is
when
on
you say
Earth.
on Earth, yeah, we
Right,
rely
because
on
the
fact
Earth
that
isn't
orbit.
flat.
So there you go. And that's the assumption you add. You say, no, we don't
Not
use
the
that
assumption.
because Earth curve makes it what? Inaccurate. That's what you say.
If
You add
the
Earth curve after a certain amount of
if the
time.
Earth was
It's
flat, you
the
could do
Earth
this.
curve that is in question. So here's what I say. I say you can't use trigonometry for long distance observations or sight angles of the celestial objects because it doesn't work on a flat plane. We don't expect
Yeah,
it to
it
work
works
on a
on a
flat
flat
plane.
Not only
works on
that,
a flat
trying to use
plane.
perspective
No.
based
Polaris.
Prove
The angle to
it
Polaris
should.
works on the sphere and it doesn't work on a flat plane.
It doesn't work on a flat plane. Period.
Correct. Now, invalidate.
Period.
Therefore,
That is
invalidates
not
the
the
plane.
correct method for locating something with a sight angle above a flat plane. You
Of course
can't
it
use
is.
it.
Yes, it
no.
is. It's
Nope.
exactly the
Nope.
correct
Not at the
trigonometry.
distances we're talking about. Not on Earth.
It doesn't make it an angle. It doesn't make any difference. If you know,
Not only
if
that,
you decide
It
on
does.
the angle, the height of Polaris, okay, you said you agreed that it was 3,000 miles out. From that, you can do basic trigonometry and you can
Man.
work out what the angle should be on a fhat plane. It doesn't agree with what we
Straw
see.
man.
What we
Where are you
see
getting
No,
Not
it
a
didn't.
straw man,
It's
Paige.
3,000
what
miles
agree,
from.
Not
what
straw
we
man at
see
all.
agrees
3,000
with a
miles,
sphere.
Rumpus. Why do
Yes.
you
Yes, it is, because we haven't measured where the sun
Orthographic.
is.
Hold
We
on.
just
Jeremy,
use
go
the
ahead.
light. So
Hey,
yeah,
when
it's a
the
total
Because it
storm.
has to
Paige,
do
you
We're
with
doing it
that.
again.
Jeremy.
We're doing it again. Jeremy, go
Jeremy,
ahead,
go
and
ahead.
then we'll go to Paige. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Getting this
Orthographic.
3,000 mile. Getting this 3,000 mile number from? I'm just curious.
Well, that's what the. Well, if you
Who
do
here
the,
said that?
well, Brandon did agree to that when he was in the hangout with Cats. And what's more, if you do the
No, I
Aristophanes
didn't. No,
experiment-
you just lied about me. I didn't agree it was 3,000 miles. If anything, I
You
said,
did.
okay, let's go
Come
with
on,
that
God,
as an
you're
assumption, but I didn't say it's 3,000 miles. I don't know how high Polaris is.
you did, yes,
we
you
were
did say you
probably
didn't know.
using using a number
I realise
just
we
for the
will
sake
agree
of
with
using
you
a number.
sometimes just to move the conversation along,
okay,
but
that's
otherwise
fine.
we just
Run
get
with
stuck.
it. It's okay.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean,
Continue,
you did
Rumpus.
say you weren't sure. I agree with you there. You did say you weren't sure,
Yeah.
but you seem to think it was a reasonable sort of value that was within the margin of error.
Cool.
You know,
So what's your come from, Rumpus? Go.
right. So the point, if you say that it's 3,000 miles, which comes from where you get it from is the Aristophanes experiment, which puts the sun at about 3,000 miles. If you just take 2 and don't take 3 things to it using the if you just take two angles, you end up with a distance of above the flat Earth of 3,000 miles for the sun and the moon, and presumably the stars as well. So that's why we say, okay, you're saying the Polarises are the same height as the sun. That's where you get the 3,000 miles from. And if you do that and you follow a line of longitude every 69 miles, you do not get the 1 degree change in at altitude that you
the
get in
sun
reality.
and the moon have nothing to do. Sorry, Rumpus, but the sun and the moon have nothing to do with the stars. So go ahead with your.
Well, hold on. Let me respond to him because I know what Rumpus is saying. You cannot listen to me very carefully. You cannot use straight trigonometry for the sight angles to distant celestial objects on Earth, including the sun, the moon, and Polaris. It doesn't work at those distances for those celestial objects on a flat plane.
Yeah, it doesn't
Nope. It doesn't work. How you're trying to say we would do it on a flat Earth is not how we would do it.
It works
because you know it
Brandon.
shoots the shit out of your argument. That's why you have to hand wave this away.
It does not work on a sphere.
It must work.
No.
It's trigonometry.
It works on a sphere.
Tell me where it works on a sphere, Rumpus.
Right. If you
Correct statement.
Hold on. We
The
can
correct
know.
statement, a correct statement that should be made is just a minute, Rumpus.
Well, I was being asked a question.
Trigonometry works on any shape of an Earth. Issue is whether or not it gives you the results that agree with actual measurements in reality. It doesn't matter the distances that you have. Trigonometry always.
Let me ask.
Can I answer Brandon's question?
Okay, let me rephrase it then, since there's some ambiguity. It is not using straight trigonometry, where the base is on the surface of the Earth, for sight angles to the celestial objects would not give you an accurate result for the location of the celestial objects on a flat plane. On a flat plane. That's my hypothesis, that it would not give you an accurate result.
It must.
On a flat
Can
plane.
I
You have a right angle.
Can I answer Brandon's
Brandon, let
point?
me add something real
We,
quick.
if you
real
know,
quick.
as we do,
Hold on,
that the
Rumpus.
Polaris is. I
Rumpus.
was being asked a question, Jeremy.
I know, I just
If
wanna
we,
add something to what
no, well, I
Brandon
just
said,
quick.
please.
It's very quick. It's very quick. So if we know, as we do, the Polaris is a long way away, you can say that on a spherical Earth, what the angle would be with every change in 69 miles, and that gives you the radius. You can actually calculate the radius of the Earth from that observation. On a flat Earth, you would get a tangent function, and that's not what we see. Therefore, we know that the Earth is not flat, and it's a spherical.
I know, that's why you can't use it on a flat Earth, because it gives you some nonsense answer, like
The
you're
wrong
saying.
answer. Yes,
You
no,
can't
well, no,
use
that's
trigonometry
not
on
flat.
Earth because it's flat.
Brandon, can I ask
No,
you a
the
question?
Earth is
No,
not
you
flat.
can't.
This is
You
proof.
can't. It's not a
So
valid.
then-
It's not a
This is
valid
proof,
method to use
Brandon.
on Earth.
Not only can you not use it on a
This is
flat
proof,
Earth,
Brandon.
guys,
Brandon, this is
check
proof
this
that's
out.
But I believe somebody. Jeremy, go ahead. You had something to say.
See is a
You have to
tangent
realize,
function.
Brandon, that on a flat Earth,
Hey, I said Jeremy. Jeremy, you had something to say, Jeremy.
you have to use, you
Not
have
only
to
can you
use
not
straight
use it.
lines.
Jeremy.
Shut the fuck
And you
up.
have that with
George,
flat Earth.
hold on, George. You're
Not only
next.
can you not-
Jeremy, go
Flat
ahead.
Earth, but it doesn't. Oh my
George.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay, not only can you not use it on a flat Earth, but you would have to actually know what you're looking at in order to do trigonometry. Have any of you fucks ever tried to triangulate something, a reflection? What happens
We're
when
not
you do that?
triangulating.
Yeah,
it.
shine a
All-
light on the wall and
all
do
we
your
need-
trigonometry to the reflection on the wall
Jeremy,
and tell me, does
all
that
we
tell
need
you
to
where the
know-
flashlight is?
Jeremy,
These
all
are
we
real
need to
objects,
know is that Polaris is a very,
That
very
it's
long
not-
way away. That's the only
have
thing
to
you
know
need
that
to
it's not
understand,
a
and then you get
And
the
we can't
spherical
know
result,
that.
and it invalidates the flat Earth.
Damn.
And
Yeah,
the
we
tangent
cannot know
function,
that.
Rumpus,
We
works
just
on
can't.
flat Earth.
A very long
We
ways
can
away
know
is
the
not.
Polaris
Can't
is
hear
a long way
anything.
away because it doesn't undergo parallax page. We know the Polaris is a long way away because it doesn't get subject to parallax effects.
No, when you assume a globe. When you assume a globe, it doesn't have parallax.
No, if you assume a flat Earth.
Bullshit. Tell me. Wait. We gotta go back to something. We gotta go back to something. Let me get this out. We have to go back to something.
Because it shoots the shit out of your
We
argument.
have to go. Okay, I'm gonna have to kick some people.
Brandon, you got to turn my mute power
go ahead,
on.
I mean,
Get rid of
disagrees
Shill,
on
that should probably make things way better.
Paid NASA shill, you're gone for the day. Sorry,
Yeah,
buddy.
kick everybody who disagrees with.
No, just you. People being retarded.
Yeah.
Shill.
You're just talking over everybody,
Hey,
and you
Brandon.
don't say anything of value. So here's my question, Rumpus. So you said that we use trigonometry where the base is on the surface of the Earth for long distance observations to celestial objects to get side angles. What do we use that? Where do we use that for?
Right. Let's make sure we're not getting confused between using triangulation, which is to determine the distance to distant stars, using the orbit. We do not use observations at the same time.
Nobody said anything about movement. We're talking about triangulation.
Yes, if you're using triangulation, to do that, we only use triangulation for each end of the orbit of the Earth. We do not try and triangulate to the stars from two different positions on the Earth at the same time. We wait 6 months to do one observation to angle the star, and we wait the next 6 months to do the same triangulation. Then we discover whether or not the star is close or not.
Totally different.
Can I finish my goddamn sentence? Can I finish my goddamn sentence? I'm nearly there. And so if we see a variation, we know that it's a relatively close line. We can measure quite a few stars using that system.
Totally different. You're using the right angle. You're using the zenith angle to the star in that case, right?
We're using this. Well, we're measuring against the background of stars. I don't quite understand what you mean by the zenith angle.
Where is the base of the triangle in your calculation? Where's the base of the triangle?
It's across the orbit of the Earth.
Yeah, okay. It's across the orbit of the Earth. So that's not the same thing, right?
As what?
As having the base of the triangle on the surface of the Earth.
But that's not what we're doing.
So you don't do that. Why don't you use that? Why don't you use that method?
Because the Earth is not big enough.
Because the Earth is not big enough. Okay.
It's a separate issue. You're confusing two things between.
So how do you know?
Oh my God!
How do you know that it works correctly?
So trigonometry
for celestial objects at long distance to get the accurate sight angles, to get the actual physical location of a celestial object. How do you know that method works?
We don't use that on distant ones that are beyond. Oh my God! Be quiet. Who's this twat who's interrupting me every 4 words I get into? Right. So we don't use that mechanism for distant stars, but we can use it for for stars that are close to us. But we don't do it across the Earth. But the Polaris issue is completely different.
Yeah.
That's nothing to do with triangulation. You seem to be confusing two things.
ask you a question,
Triangulation
Brandon?
is the stars, and the distance angle to Polaris is not distant dependent. All we need to know is that Polaris is a long way away, and then we do not use triangulation.
Yeah, we don't even know how far Polaris is. So Brian's logic has been trying to interject here for quite a while.
I can show the trigonometric argument if you like.
No, that's okay. So Brian's logic has been trying to. It's not our argument that you can use trigonometry for that, but Brian's logic is going to. Brian's logic as Rumpus, for fuck's sake, Aaron. Brian's logic has been trying to get Orion edgewise for a long time. Yeah. We happen to have every single person who joins the panel who likes to talk. So I'm sorry if I'm yelling a lot and telling people to shut up, but you're a fun group, I guess is the right way to say it. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, listen, remember that demonstration I showed you and a few others on the panel here, where I have the laser, where I move the object back that has markings on it, and the laser appears to drop below eye level across a flat surface after I've made a parallel with that surface. That's exactly the same as what happens with Polaris. Exactly the same. And what happens with sunsets and sunrises.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So, Brian, you're talking about the one where you had the laser and you were shining it at a object that you were moving away from your camera, which was horizontal. And it started to fall below eye level.
It appears to, yeah.
It appears
it's just optical. It appears to, yeah.
That's
exactly the same.
That's their biggest assumption when it comes to optics, is that nothing that is within your line of vision will fall below the level of your vision. It will stay directly in front of you. We're not talking about geometry. We're talking about perspective and how we see the world. It's not about geometry.
With geometry, you can
No, that's the mistake you guys made, and you have us living all on a giant fucking ball.
It's not real. If you want, I share my.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian. Share that. That'd be interesting to look at.
He didn't have the angle of the camera correct. He didn't have a flat video.
Let's take a look at what he's got.
Oh, listen to Rumpus.
It was full of errors.
This video, please.
Brandon,
shut the fuck up.
Here?
Jeremy, you're still trying to show that video. Or are you talking about Brian's?
Now, Brandon?
Brian's, yeah.
I want to see this video that
Yeah,
Brian...
let's see what Brian's got here. Let's check it out.
Can you see my screen? You can?
Yeah.
On the board, okay. So this is what I've done here is I've used a Plumbob app on my phone to make a total parallel with the surface I'm on. So the center of my lens will definitely be making an absolute parallel with the solid surface I'm on. I have two markings. One,
that assumes your floor's flat, Brian.
I'm speaking Rumpus. I don't have to make a parallel. The thing is flat. It doesn't.
Rumpus, if you interrupt him one more time, I'm going to boot you. Please don't interrupt him. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. He doesn't understand, Brandon. He hasn't got a clue. I spent an hour and a half on the phone with him one day. So what I've done is my center of my lens is making an absolute parallel using this Plumbob app with this hard surface I have here on the floor. And what I do is I have two markings on a piece of cardboard ahead of me. And as you can see, the lower of the two markings is above the crosshairs of the phone. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, and as I move back the cardboard, what you're going to see is there is another marking, black marking above that. And then you will see that on the right-hand side of me here, I have a laser. And that laser will be hitting that black marking. But what will happen is as I move it back, the markings will appear to go, this lower one will appear to go below the crosshairs. And it will be obvious. I have stills at the end of the video to show that the laser also appears to go down towards the crosshairs and below it. Now, I only move it back 10 inches. And the reason I only move it back 10 inches is that I wanted to keep the whole thing happening on the same piece of wooden floorboard that I have it on. Because if I moved it back any further, what would happen then is people like Rumpus would claim, oh, your floor is not flat, or some rubbish like that.
But it's not.
Whereas it doesn't matter. I'm making a parallel. So a parallel can be at any angle, you idiot.
You're assuming you've got your camera exactly 90 degrees to the board. You're assuming that the floor...
Okay, all right. Let's see the demonstration, Rumpus, and then you can critique it, okay? Can we get through the demo and then you can critique it?
Okay.
Okay. I'm showing here that my phone is exactly correct. Tilt-wise, forward and back. That sounds like someone laughing. Sounds like George.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous suggesting what you just said.
Rumpus, can you put a sock in it till he finishes?
Hang on, I just want to pause it a second. Rumpus doesn't understand what parallel means. You can have two parallel lines that are at any angle. You can have two 45-degree parallel lines. But once they're parallel, they're parallel.
You can't prove they're parallel.
Parallel
you cannot prove they're yeah, but you can't prove they're parallel.
That the center of
it's that zero
is making a
You've
parallel.
no idea where the phone is accurately positioned on the floor. You've no idea that you've got your lasers at 90 degrees.
But you don't understand
all these angles. You do not know that they're orthogonal.
You don't understand what I'm doing.
No, you don't understand the engineering problems. I understand the engineering issues, and you don't understand either. Because what you're about to point out is geometrically impossible.
Can we
All right.
see this?
Yeah, let's see the demo, and then you can argue after that. Let's see the demo.
Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it play away. So, as you can see, as I'm moving it back, you can see that this is a laser. Right? Lasers don't bend. There's no refraction over 10 inches. As you can see, the whole thing is starting to appear to drop. That lower black line was above crosshairs. Now it appears to be below. But it's
and can you see the gap underneath it? He's lifted it up
There's
slightly.
always been a gap underneath it. That gap didn't. There's always a gap
It's changing. The floor is not flat.
It would lift
the bottom of the cardboard's not flat. All
Look
these
at
things
the laser,
are
Rumpus. The laser is the important.
Yes, but you haven't got these things flat. You don't know it. You haven't established the floor is flat. You haven't established the cardboard is flat. You haven't established the phone is at 90 degrees. There are all these variables, and what you're about to say is geometrically impossible.
He hates this
He's lifting up and down there. You could see him lifting up and down there. You could see it just then that he was changing. He was lifting up and down while it was staying stationary.
This demonstration. He hates this demonstration.
Because it's an idiot's
Watch the
demonstration.
laser. The laser's not jumping up and down.
Rumpus, he shows the zeros moving when he tilts it back and forth. So he's proven.
90 degrees,
Yes, he does, because they're at zero.
Now, what's the stills?
That don't
What's the
necessarily
stills,
align with
Rumpus?
what the edge of the
What's the
phone
stills?
does it. All
Okay.
the board.
Okay, go ahead. Show us the stills. Show us the stills.
What's going on now? It's just power to the video. It's going to play there now.
Can I just say, Rumpus, you have no credibility in talking about somebody else's demonstration after the crap you came in here and spoke about the cameras on that high altitude balloon. You came in and said, "Oh, they're not horizontal," blah blah blah, like you were some authority, and you were proven to be wrong the very next day. So why don't you just shut up and let Brian do his explanation?
Exactly. I already had this out with Rumpus privately, and Rumpus couldn't explain it. And Rumpus didn't understand power lens. He just doesn't understand. Rumpus, you actually just don't understand the very thing.
It's geometrically impossible what you're about to do.
Brian, just try not to address him. Brian, just show your stills. Try not to address him.
He was about to say what you're about to prove. He almost said that's geometrically impossible
I
what
caught
you're
that too.
about to prove.
He's not proving it because he's got all these engineering issues, Paige.
Slip out every now and again.
What he's doing is he's making sure that people are listening to him instead of watching this. That's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing.
You don't understand the engineering issues.
Absolutely. He's just hoping people will hear him saying it's geometrically impossible, and they'll just believe him.
Don't take the page. Don't take the page. Everyone watch this red line.
Listen to the high pitch in his voice, people. Every time Nathan gets him into that high pitch, he's always backed into a corner.
Never
so listen to that change in tone.
Please let Brian show this video.
Just watch this.
Yeah.
I reckon Racky would like to play poker with Rumpus.
Watch the red line coming out the side with the crosshairs and watch the yellow line at the top of the laser. Right? Because lasers don't bounce around the place. Watch them as I move the thing. Just make sure it's playing. It is. Any second now it's going to start moving. Now, as I move it back, the laser is not part of the cardboard. That's why I use the laser. Cardboard is just a reference. See? What would happen if you were moving back from Polaris? What would happen? What would happen if the sun is setting and the sun is right? I'm going to bring it back in there.
It would move 15 degrees and whatever. It would appear to drop. 1 degree every however many miles.
That's naturally what happens. Exactly. It appears to drop. It's just an apparent thing. It appears to drop.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
If you go and analyse this, and you understand anything of geometry, you realise it must have errors either in the floor,
Shut
the
up,
camera
Rumpus.
angle,
He's just
or the
demonstrating
laser
something.
angle.
You've got nothing.
He won't. He
rhetoric.
can't. He hates this demonstration.
Shut up.
Well, it's just so stupid. It's one of the
believe
most
you, lying
stupid
eyes.
things I've seen
Because
demonstrated.
it destroys your
It's
belief system.
unbelievably stupid what you're doing. You're trying to invalidate basic geometry.
Your belief system.
No,
No,
you know
it
it's
doesn't.
perfect then, don't you?
Look, I can draw this out for you in a geometry and show that what you're doing, if you have the things
what I'm
aligned
doing?
as you claim, it cannot be
I'm just
happening.
showing
You must
visually,
have
Rumpus,
errors
in
in the
real life.
cardboard,
Let's go
in
back
the
there
angle
again.
of the camera, or the laser. You've got three, and the board.
So he's going to do a drawing
He's
and
got
do
four.
it in
happen.
real life.
You're paid
That's it, Paige. We're watching it happen, but it can't happen.
You're
Not
watching
with a
it
flat
happen.
board. He's got
You're
problems
watching
with the
it happen.
flatness of his
You're
board,
watching it
with the
happen.
angle
Yeah,
of the camera,
seriously,
with
Rumpus,
the
you
angle of the laser.
friggin' Muppet.
Let me ask Rumpus a question.
Diagram can see that he's talking bollocks.
Let me ask Rumpus a
Oh,
question.
my
So
goodness.
obviously in this demonstration, whether or not it falls, which it does appear to slightly get lower, it's a very slight. Now, I'm interested in understanding what happens on a flat plane,
of the distance.
how much drop there would
have
be,
10 inches to move it back.
how much drop there would be on a...
Move it back forward, I'm going to drop further and further and further.
Yeah. If you
I
went
explained
further
why
and
I
further,
didn't go
what
back
would
more than 10
happen
inches.
after a mile? Can you tell me that on a flat plane? What would happen after a mile, Rumpus? Do you have any experimental evidence that shows how much it would drop from
This guy
the level of your eye
is
over a
showing
mile?
you something. If you were to draw it out on a piece of paper, he's basically
Then you could
saying
draw it
that
any way you
right
want.
angle-
I'm not talking about
He's saying that
geometry. I'm talking about the real world,
Yeah,
Rumpus.
but Yeah, and you can show that what he's demoing here is geometrically impossible if all the things he claims were true.
We're not
If he
talking
was-
about geometry, Rumpus.
Yes, but he's just
That's
got a
all we
picture.
care about.
Page,
That's all we care about. Yeah, we care about what you can draw.
Page, he hasn't got the laser line with the floor. He hasn't
He
got the
has
camera at 90
shown
degrees.
it.
No, he hasn't. Where in that can you
is
see how he's got?
parallel.
Page, how can you see from what he's shown you
Guys,
that the
guys.
laser is parallel to the floor? There's nothing in there except his assertion that it is.
Okay, good.
What about the
That's a
phone
fine
number?
point, Rumpus. Let me ask you. There's nothing but your assertion that after a mile, after 10 miles, that the on a flat parallel plane, it will stay at eye level. It will stay at your horizontal. You have nothing but that assertion.
But it's basic geometry.
No, we're talking about perspective. Hold on, Paige. We're talking about perspective. We're talking about how we see
which
the
case
world.
you
We're
don't
not
understand
talking about geometry. In geometry, parallel lines don't appear to
Perspective
intersect.
is geometry.
In geometry,
You want
there
to
is
hear-
an infinite vanishing point, not a finite vanishing point. We are talking about.
That's gibberish.
Oh, is it?
That's a gibberish.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Well, do you know what a finite
That's-
vanishing point is? Do you know
No,
what
it's
an infinite
gibberish.
vanishing point is? Do you know what
It's gibberish.
parallel
That's
lines are?
gibberish.
Do you know what
There's a
appear
reason
to
why
intersect
there's a
means?
Brandon,
So which part of it was gibberish, Rumpus?
All of it. I have
Oh.
done perspective
Brandon.
I don't want to deal with it. That was a nice hand wave. Nuh-uh.
So Brandon,
Nuh-uh.
could you tell me?
Nuh-uh.
Could you do the maths to demonstrate where something
Fucking hell,
would be?
we're the
If I
ones
gave you-
entertaining
if I
these
gave you the
numbers.
3D
My
coordinates
goodness.
or something,
You're talking
and I
about
told you where the
math.
camera
I'm
was,
talking about
who's got
empirical
some- Someone's got
evidence.
something going in the background, right?
Brandon.
I can do the calculation to show you how a 3D
I don't
object
care about
becomes a 2D
calculation.
object.
I want to see
Yeah, I know you
experimental
don't.
evidence in
I can
reality.
do something that represents
Brandon.
reality. It's
That
math
doesn't
by reality.
represents. I want to see reality, not represents reality. Show me fucking reality, not some numbers on a piece of paper.
Reality. Why not just show the reality?
Okay,
Hang on,
if you, for instance,
Brandon,
if you have a
Why
feature in
use
your
the
town,
representation?
for
You have the real thing.
Brandon, if
He
I
wants
had
to
your
have an
town,
argument with
if I had the
you. He doesn't
3D
want me
coordinates of your
talking.
town, I could show you what your camera and your eye would see
Brandon.
if you
Yeah,
told me
yeah,
where you
hold on.
were.
Believe me, I'll
and
tell you about a real
your
world
town.
version of this.
I could show you what would appear. That's how much grip
I
I've got
don't
on the
want
subject.
you to
And
show
have
me.
no
I
idea.
want you to show me experimental
No, but
evidence
isn't that what
in
Travis is
reality,
asking you to
Rumpus.
do?
Okay, I tell you
That's what I want
I'll
to
tell you
see.
what,
Brandon.
If you give me the 3D,
Brandon.
if you tell me, well, not somewhere you want me to go and 3D model, I will go and do it, and then I will show you
I
on
don't
screen
want
what you
a
will see.
3D
Okay.
model again,
And then you
Rumpus.
can
I
measure, and then
want
you can check it against reality. You
experimental
could then go to
evidence
that
in
spot.
reality.
You could, yeah, and you could do it. You could go to the spot, and I would tell you.
Brandon.
I would
If you
tell you
need
what
me,
you
I'll tell you
would
about a real,
Be quiet. Let me just talk to
world version
Brandon.
of this.
All right.
I could tell
Give me
you
the
what you will
opportunity.
see. I
Yep.
can tell you what you will see in your camera and in your eyes, and then you could go and check it
No,
in real life.
no, that's not what I'm asking
See.
for. That's
And
just
then
not
you
what
can
I'm
see
asking
that
for.
I understand
all right.
perspective purpose.
Let's agree to
perfectly.
disagree for
Brandon.
now. I don't think you do. You don't think I do. That's fine. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah. Brandon, you know Rachie?
Yeah, yeah.
1850. Well, she saw this and she noticed that when she looked out her window of her apartment, there was a red light in her eye line. She's actually back into slightly below her eye line. And this is at the top of a tower. And she went and found out what her elevation, exact elevation was above sea level, and what the exact elevation was of the top of this tower above sea level. And this tower is over, I think it's 430 or more, maybe 450 plus feet above her elevation above sea level. But when she looks at the light on the top of this tower, from where she is in a direct horizontal view, she reckons it's slightly below her eye line. Do you know how far away the tower is?
How far?
8 miles.
Oh, that's it, huh?
400 plus feet.
Exactly.
That's a
why I
real
told him to
world
do it.
version of
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
That's why I told him to do it with clouds. He's full of shit. A cloud that's only about 10 miles away is barely over the tree line. So all that shit he's talking, tell him to do it with clouds. He's full of shit. You don't understand real life perspective.
Well, you know what their excuse is, Brian and Brian, for why they can't experimentally prove that that things wouldn't fall below your eye line on a flat plane. You know what their excuse is, right? There's Earth curve.
Dishonesty?
No, there's Earth curve. That's why they can't do it in reality, because the Earth curve gets in the way.
That's why I said use a cloud, because a cloud in only about 10 or 11 miles is dropped a few thousand feet, and the Earth curve is grossly off from that. Another thing with Eratosthenes, Jeremy had it right. They've showed the experiment on a flat surface. Just use it. You could use a focal point. You could use a concave lens. You could use a reflection. It's polarized light. It works. They're assuming the sun is something, and with the stars, they're making a huge assumption that they're not following the rules of perspective. So that's
I posted the video. They got Eratosthenes working on a flat surface. The whole sticks and shadows, multiple sticks.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, if you map out exactly, and the way they map it out,
I posted it in general.
with spherical geometry, right? So if you map out something with spherical geometry, yeah, it'll follow them laws until you get by the horizon, which is exactly where their trigonometry breaks down, the sun and everything else.
They won't accept the Eratosthenes thing on a flat surface because of the light he used, because they're going to say the light rays are coming in parallel. They have this model of how the sky works, and they can't get out of that model because they think they know exactly how the sky works, what the objects are, how everything's moving, the distances and all that. But
you've clearly no understanding of the Eratosthenes experiment.
All right, well,
I have it happening on a flat surface. I do understand it, and it's happening on a flat surface.
And if you do it, you end up with more than one object, and you've got not same object in two different places. It doesn't work. As was being tested in real life.
Why? You didn't listen to the thing he said, did you?
The same object.
It's only if you assume the things you assume.
No. No, on a flat Earth, if you take the measurements in real world and you put them into...
Don't you stick our flat Earth inside your space cosmology.
No,
don't you dare.
Just listen.
No, don't you dare give me your
take a flat Earth and a bunch of your rules and assumptions.
Be quiet.
No.
I know you're trying to overtalk me.
No, you're not going to straw man me.
I'm making your point, and you're overtalking me.
No, you're not.
You're
straw
overtalking me. I know you don't like it. I know it disproves the flat Earth. No, I'm not.
Of course I don't like it.
In real world, if you do an observation of more than 2 points,
in your
it invalidates the flat Earth.
Because you put it in your sky.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to resolve this tonight, and it is 8 o'clock. I have a couple super chats I want to read. There might be a question in there. That was a very quick 3 hours. A lot of discussion. Somebody's dogs are barking. That's okay though. Oh, that must.
I thought we were going to resolve this tonight, Brandon.
No, man. I did too. I had high hopes, but Glenn's Maelstrom, $7.14. I like that number. It sounds lucky. He said, Ben nailed it again, and the ballers' heads are exploding. Indeed, Glenn. That was an excellent 21-mile laser test. Go check it out. And, of course, you can hear what the other side thinks of that. I'll put that in chat one more time from Taboo Conspiracy. He's got a new channel. Be sure to subscribe to him. He does excellent, excellent work. Thank you very much, Ben. Excellent stuff. B-ball for life. The distance to Polaris is irrelevant on the Earth. It's all about the angle from the horizon to Polaris. Exactly, B-ball. I wish you understood my argument and could actually address the actual argument that I'm making. But we always go back to square one. But anyhow, thank you for the $5 super chat. Much appreciated. I really do appreciate the support. And then there was a Streamlabs that came in. I may have read it already. Let me make sure. It was something I was going to ask Rumpus from Taking Back Eden FE. For some reason, these aren't being read by the little machine here. Rumpus, if the laser is tilted up by a few degrees, will gravity demonstrate a visible hugging effect then?
That's something that George said. He knows more about it than I do, and I certainly know the radar. You do get a ground hugging effect. I'm reluctant to say that this is what's happening with the laser, but George knows more about this than I do. I'm reluctant to use that. It's never been used.
Do you not know about the Eddington experiment?
Yes, that's to do with mass. Yes, is that what you're talking about? The fact that light bends bent by mass, but there's not enough mass. The Earth is not massive enough to cause bending due to gravitational relativistic bending of light. No, gravitational lensing doesn't happen on the Earth. No. So I'm reluctant to use the argument. George knows more about it than I do. I've never seen it mentioned in the literature on bending of light, but I do know that it happens with the radar. But I'm not familiar with it happening with electromagnetic radiation in the visible spectrum.
Okay, George, did you want to take a crack at that since Rumpus kind of pointed at you, or you mentioned it earlier, the hugging?
Or you can call it hugging if you want. That's not the technical term. Okay. It's just the surface of the Earth, if it's conductive, will guide waves, the electromagnetic spectrum, to a lesser effect the higher frequency you go up, but it still occurs in the visible light range. But that's not the only effect. There's many parameters that enter into this about why you might see laser light 21 miles away. The guided wave effect of the surface of the Earth, particularly on salt water that's very conductive, is one aspect. Another is refraction. You have also refraction. You also have atmospheric scattering. These all contribute to the fact that you can see light beyond the curve of the Earth.
All right.
So many excuses.
I know. That is like packed in. Let's just throw all of them in.
That was like a piñata.
A piñata. He broke it wide open.
Of fucking excuses.
Brandon, why is it that you can't understand that there's many contributions?
I
to
can't
the actual
understand.
Yep.
Yep. That's the problem, George.
Debunking the very thing you're claiming, by what you're claiming.
Just pointed out four of the issues that enter into being able to see light beyond the Earth. Just like the sun. You look at the sun, why does the atmosphere appear blue? It's because of the scattering. If there was no atmosphere, everything around the sun would appear black, and you just see the direct sun rays that come from the sun. We're seeing sunlight coming from all different directions because of the scattering within the atmosphere.
Brandon, why don't you accept the pictures of things being obscured from the bottom, like a mountain, for instance, half of it's missing? If you're interested in accepting photographic imagery, how can you deny?
Guys, we're moving on to another subject. I'll keep the recorder going after this, or we can get back to that another day. But we answered the question, I think, so that was good. There are extreme level or flat places like Florida and the Bolivian salt flats. Is there any place Rumpus or George can name where a curve is visible from Earth or from a building on Earth, where we can just look at it and go, oh, yep, there's a hump right there. There's a hump of Earth right there.
No, it's called a hill.
Yes, you can. That's what, for instance, Rory, from his 700-foot observation and from the in Mallorca, and then you compress the image, you can actually see it just from 700 feet up. You can see the Earth bends, and you can, if you're prepared to do the image analysis properly, you can find it.
We destroyed that not too long ago.
So if you manipulate the image, you can make the Earth look like a ball. That's your argument?
You didn't destroy that at all.
Yeah.
How did you destroy that?
Yeah, we told destroy that.
So you're denying the image, what the image says, even if it's got a curve, you're just throwing it away, are you?
Yeah, that level on the crooked table, the curved table.
You don't think that manipulating the image in that way is disingenuous, Rumpus?
You guys shouldn't use Rory's stuff. It's been demolished. Nobody believes that.
No, it hasn't.
Don't you think that manipulating the image is disingenuous, Rumpus?
What was that again?
Don't you think that manipulating the image in that way is disingenuous?
No, not compressing horizontally. That doesn't have any. It doesn't change It doesn't change straight lines into curves.
Surely you're aware of that. Yes, it fucking does.
Oh my God! There's a moron in the building. There's a moron in the building. There's an absolute moron in the building. Absolute moron in the panel. Oh my God! He thinks that if you compress something horizontally, it turns straight lines into curves. Oh my God!
Yeah, we've gone through it so many times. We've gone through it so many times.
Incredible. That's one of the most stupid things I've heard anywhere. Who said that? That's got to be a real idiot of the first order.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, so we're gonna do final thoughts. We'll start off with Allie B. Allie, final thoughts?
Yep, I'm here at last.
Yeah.
I think it's the first one of what do you call it? I've done in ages. Yeah, that was a good, interesting show. Just for Rumpus to school him again.
You've never schooled anybody.
Oh, interrupted me. No problems. I don't care. Mass is energy. Energy is a force. Therefore, mass is a force, Rumpus. Sorry to break your little bubble that you didn't think that. Right, another thing, right. Light, as George pointed out, light is invisible until it refracts, right? So imagine now, these guys are looking up at telescopes, and they're seeing stars. Now, that light is only refracting in one place, or it can only refract in one place, and that is atmosphere. So how do they know these stars are that far away? They're just looking up as far as our atmosphere goes, which they've admitted goes further than the moon, before Rumpus or anybody interrupts about that. They've admitted the atmosphere goes further. So these could be reflective. Our atmosphere could go all the way out to the furthest whatever planet it is. And there's the stars. The stars could be just behind there. You can't dispute that. Whatever. And a question for Brandon. Okay, if I ask you a question, Brandon.
Sure.
Right. Have you ever done a video regarding bikes or anything like that? Have you got another channel?
Bikes? Like bicycles?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right. That's it.
You thought
It was just funny because I seen someone converting a mountain bike, a Cannondale mountain bike, into an electric bike, and I swear I'm going to get the video, and he sounds exactly like you, Brandon.
Really? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, send that to me.
Oh,
That's funny,
absolutely. I swear it. And I was thinking, because I was a little doubtful, because I was like, and I was listening, because I know people from certain areas or whatever sound the same, accents sound the same in America or whatever. You know, you can tell the North from the South, or Kentucky from Alabama, or Texas, and New York, and places like that. You can tell the difference in the accent. But this guy sound, I was like, I'm mistaken. But anyway, I'm going to send you. I'll get the video, and I couldn't tell the difference.
All right.
Anyway, there you go. That was up.
Thanks, Ali. Appreciate it, man.
Great show, by the way. Great listening. It was great listening to everybody else apart from the Rumpus, Ruhif, and I wasn't really listening to George.
Okay, thanks, Ali.
Apart from that, it was brilliant. It really was. Really interesting. Thanks.
Brian Leakey.
Yeah, man, I want to mention real quick about the there was I think it was NOAA weather radar. It was here in Florida, and it had a range, right? And they say that the radar bends, around the it's, I guess what George would say, especially over salt water or whatever, that it hugs. Okay, they say that it won't do that over land, but it'll hug the water. See out. The problem is that the radar would show all the way to Cuba, which you could argue the water in between once it gets out of line of sight, and it would show all the way to Cuba, which is breaking the rules. But then you could see about 100 miles offshore, past Cuba. So it would have to have then been hugging the land too. What did they do? They took the channel down. They took that radar down. We can't even get that. It was the best one. But so maybe they hug, but not in the way they're saying it is. They have to have explanations for their model, and I understand that. That's why, but why won't they accept our explanation for what would have to happen over a plane? So they, I challenge them to. It doesn't match Earth curve over about 10 to. I'm gonna give it even 12 miles. 10 to 12 miles, you see clouds that are about 1.5 miles, 2 miles, up to 2 miles in the sky, just above the tree line. Okay, they have to assume that the stars are an infinite distance away. That's a big, giant assumption. You have to assume that the objects up there do not follow regular laws of perspective. So that is a big assumption. One last thing, I've been studying on the light. I'm going to be putting up a video here in the next few days about light and and kind of tied in with the sun. But that guy Peyton Shill, I enjoy listening to him. But yeah, when there's a crowd, yeah, he was interrupted like crazy, man. Usually when it's us regular people, we know when to interrupt, how long we could say things for. We kind of click and flow. But sometimes people join, it just kind of messes with the flow with those things. But good show, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, Peyton Shill, if you're out there, pop back into the video or the voice channel, and I'll unmute you. You were kind of the victim of circumstance in a sense, so come back in and I will unmute you. Thanks, Brian. Brian's Logic.
Hey, Brandon. Sorry for over talking. I mean, loud. I don't like to do that. I used to do it a lot more. I don't like doing that anymore. And I'm sorry. I should have made it in earlier. I knew you wanted me to come in and talk with you about some stuff, and I just couldn't make it earlier. I'll try to come in during the week in the next few nights if the show is on again. Try and come in earlier if I can. Other than that, I don't hate Rumpus. He just doesn't understand parallel. And that's really all I have to say. Thanks.
Fair enough. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, we wanted to talk about Rachel's stuff and Cavendish. Yeah, we'd do that some other time. Just pop in at the beginning of the show and we can start it off on that. We went on other tangents tonight, but Jeremy.
If we keep this shit up, they're either going to censor us into oblivion or our grandkids are going to end up debating Rumpus's grandkids. We need to do something. The Globers won't do anything. They think they got it all sewn up. Right? So we need to figure out a way how to falsify that water's not curving. Like, there's nothing else that ends everything. Like, we should all be, like, focused on this. Because all this other shit, observations, they're not going to do anything for us. They're just going to say refraction, it's hugging, whatever the fuck. It was like a pinata exploded of Glober excuses when George started talking. Right? So everyone try to focus and let's think of something we can do to falsify that water's not curving. That's all.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, it's hilarious, that pinata thing. Jimbo.
That was hilarious.
Wasn't that daily dose of insanity and abuse? Pretty typical show, though.
Thanks, Jimbo.
Amusing. Quite insane.
It was pretty insane. George.
Yeah, regarding lasers, if you want to send a representative here, I can show them how I can measure laser beam spot size out at distance very precisely. I have a laser mount for my 1 arc second theodolite, and I can, at 6 miles, I can position the axis of a laser to within 1.8 inches. Okay, let's just say 2 inches with that resolution. And I have collimators for my lasers where I can get a much tighter beam than anyone I've ever seen make a video with these handheld lasers. I can get a much tighter.
Anyway, never mind. You're
Well,
the
shut up, Jimbo, you fucking ass. I'm tired of your interrupting. Nobody asked.
Tonight, just at the wrong time.
You
Sorry,
shut up.
darling.
But anyway, I can position a laser to within 1 arc second, which is 1.8 inches, say 2 inches at 6 miles. And I can easily measure the observation point of the spot size of a laser or how much it diverges, because I have corner reflectors positioned on islands at different distances from my observation. The diameter of these corner reflectors are 2.5 inches. So I can easily adjust the laser
an hour
within there. Shut up, Jimbo. So I can easily position the laser and measure by looking at the intensity of light being reflected back from the corner reflectors or these prisms and get the exact spot size. And I can easily show you that with different types of lasers, different laser beam collimations with the very tight beam out at 6 miles, if you're down near the surface of the water, you won't see it. But if I loosen up the tightness of the beam, you will see it as the spot size grows. So just send someone out here and I'll show them, demonstrate this, and you can video it all you want.
All right. Yeah, we'll get Jimbo with a plane ticket and send him out there. I think that'll be good. Thanks, George. Kosho.
Oh, hey, yeah. I just tuned in at the very end there, so I guess not much to say other than shout out to Rumpus and George. Always good to see you guys. And Jeremy, shout out to one of my favorite flat earthers right there. Also, I heard somebody say something briefly. It sounded really stupid, so I thought I'd speak on it. They said that mass is energy, okay? And energy is force, and so mass is force. I think there's a bit of a misstep there. And
Your boy
that
Einstein said that.
No, he never said that energy and force are the same thing.
We said energy is mass. But...
Sure, that's fine. He had an equation that showed that, but that doesn't mean that energy and force are the same thing. So saying mass is a force, it's a bit bizarre, but that's it.
All right, thanks, Kosho. Matrix Media, Jay.
Good show, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, brother. Aaron.
Shout out, Brandon. Good show.
Thanks, man. Paige.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Good show, Brendan.
Thank you for being here. SE.
Yeah, Brandon, good show. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to tonight's show. Shout out to all the guests. Thank you.
Thank you, SE. Bob Dole.
What do you want to do tonight, Brian? The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to prove the spherical world.
Try to.
The Pinky and the brain.
Like two pinkies.
Very good, Bob. The Rumpus.
Yeah, I was trying to create a 3D model here.
Save it for the next show.
I'll do it quickly, show you what I'm doing.
No, save it for the next show. We don't need
notice how we all just say thank you and go.
I'll be very quick.
Not
I'll
a
be very quick.
presentation.
30 seconds. 30 seconds you got, Rumpus.
Here we go. If you see I'm sharing this, this is what Brahm was doing. Must be the most stupid video on the internet, just about. All he was doing, you can't quite see it clearly, I'm afraid, but I haven't got the colours and things sorted. But all he was doing was object here, along here. Sorry, he was moving this object further away in this direction, and he was trying to say that as a result of doing that, this laser beam, which he claims is parallel to the surface of the floor, he's also claiming the floor is parallel. He's also claiming that this camera is perfectly at 90 degrees. Be quiet, I'm talking.
That's not what
No,
I
you
said.
have to be.
I
And
said
if you draw the
center of
geometry,
the
be
lens.
quiet, be
All
quiet.
right.
I'm not interested.
Hold on.
I'm in the middle of my thing.
All right.
So if you draw the geometry of it, you can see that what he's trying to show cannot be physically possible if all these things are orthogonal 90 degrees or whatever. It's the most stupid video of any flat earther I think has ever been put up. So yeah, so that's it.
Are you done?
And he doesn't understand what parallel. He doesn't understand what he's doing. He's a moron.
Okay. All right. Got all those insults out of you there at the last minute. That was a insult-gasm. Thanks to the panel. Really appreciate all of the support of the show coming on the panel. It was very exciting tonight. Good stuff. Lots of talking. Sorry if I yelled at anybody. Wasn't personal. Just trying to get it so the audience could hear. And hopefully we'll see you back tomorrow night, same time, same place. And who knows what we'll be talking about. And I'll be back. We'll record the after show if anybody's going to stick around. And see you in a minute. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I don't know what's going on tomorrow. We'll figure out something by then. See what we want to talk about. Maybe we'll get around talking to about Cavendish if Brian shows up. And I was bummed out. I didn't get to show you what I found in that documentary. So we'll probably for sure go over that tomorrow and take a look at that. Thanks to everybody who chatted, supported the channel, and sent a Streamlab or a super chat or whatever. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.